Pros bring something extra to every job. Now at the Home Depot, they also get something extra. Pro Extra, our free loyalty program built for pros just like you. Members earn perks with every dollar spent, like Pro Extra Dollars, a tool rental credit, and more. New members get $20 off their next in-store purchase of $200 or more just for signing up. Learn more at homedepot.com/Pro Extra. New year, more rewards, Pro Extra, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Sporgy for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Sporgy 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Sporgy by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Sporgy on Twitter at Sporgy Podcast and on Instagram at Sporgy_podcast. Please follow Sporgy on Facebook to like and share Sporgy. You can also email the show. The address is sporgy@ChristopherMedia.net. If you would like to donate to Sporgy, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Sporgy. If you are looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you're helping to support Sporgy. We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own Bro Basket or choose from a variety of different Bro Baskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless, but still cool, Bro Baskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the BroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Welcome to Sporgy, the show that gives you half-ass sports fans giving their half-ass opinions. And now, here are your hosts.
Apparently, he said some things and did some things, and Madison Square Garden security was going to escort him out of the building because he was being rude or whatever. And Charles Oakley wasn't having it, and they started to grab on him a little bit, and he smacked him and shoved him, and then finally grabbed a hold of him, like 6-7 guys grabbed a hold of him and escorted him to the court and out to the exit. If that wasn't bad enough, Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, gets on a live broadcast the next day and says, we all know Charles Oakley has problems with alcohol, and he was being belligerent and...
Oh, that I did hear, yeah.
And physical and everything, and... Yeah, it just blew up after that.
So was the owner right and everyone was mad about it? Or is that what happened? Or did he speak out of school or what?
The owner was right to ask him to leave. For whatever reason, Charles Oakley was being a dick. I guess he's saying,
like, if you're being a drunk asshole, it doesn't matter, right? Or
he wasn't.
It's not supposed to matter?
He wasn't drunk.
So that's the rub then.
He admitted that he had like, he'd just come from dinner and he had like a drink or two with dinner and he said that. And I guess that they tried to fucking say that he was visibly intoxicated. This I heard, this is all through Michael Rappaport on, I think, one of the ESPN shows. Anyways, if that's one of their radio shows. I didn't catch the name of the radio show it was. I didn't recognize who the hosts were. But anyways, a couple of the security guards tried to say he was visibly impaired. And then the rest of the security guards were like, no, we asked him if he'd been drinking. He said he'd had like 2-3 drinks with dinner. And he didn't appear to be drunk and out of control, like sloppy drunk. So they just took him at his word. And of course, the backlash I've seen is I've seen Spike Lee, I've seen Michael Rappaport,
Al Sharpton.
I haven't seen Sharpton, but I've seen a couple other celebrity Knick fans come out and say, how many years did Oakley give us, and how many joyous occasions did he give us as a Knick, and what has Dolan brought to the team except for misery? So fuck Dolan, basically.
But to their mindset, so is Joe Paterno forgiven? If that's what if that's the way you think, is all forgiven with Joe Paterno? Because that's going along.
Well,
that's
we want to
chasing
start
the
the
rabbit
show
down their hole.
Do we want to start the show?
I guess you know what? It's already started.
Just do it.
I'll fix it in post. I'll start with me asking the question about Charles Oakley. And welcome to Sport G number 36. I'm Chris.
I'm Rich.
I'm the Iceman.
Number 36, Matthew Barnaby.
Who the?
Damn it! That was the one I was gonna. Oh, don't do that.
Oh! Don't even act like you're going to front and get that over on me, Earl. Come on, man.
I was so going to say it.
Like you did not. Like you'd have been half as big a fan of Barnaby as you were if it wasn't for me going, look at this little scrappy motherfucker talking shit and trying to back it up no matter who he goes against.
Is this hockey?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's why I don't know. Gotcha.
I mean, he'd get his ass fucked up because he'd talk shit to, like, Scott Parker, which is just not a good idea.
Ever.
Even Probert was like, I didn't like to fight Parker. Of course, Probert was an old man and Parker was shit in his prime at that point. But yeah, Barnaby was the beginning of, I guess, what we would call the Steve Ott type of player we have nowadays, the shit stirrers. Who's the guy that used to be on the Red Wings? Sean, fuck.
Burr.
No, not Sean Burr. No, Sean Avery. The guy who parked his ass in front of Martin Brodeur and started waving his stick around and shit and did crazy shit on the ice. Not technically against the rules, but enough against the rules, enough of an annoyance to where they changed the rules. We're like, okay, you can't do shit like this no more. Because they knew that fighting was becoming something that wasn't going to happen like it did in previous generations. So guys could get away with being a little bit more mouthy, being a little bit more chippy. And Barnaby is kind of the bridge between the all talk, no action guys you see a lot of today and the guys who he was all talk and he would throw down and he would get his ass beat, but he'd get back up and keep talking shit. So
yeah, that's Barnaby though. Chris, you don't know number 36?
Jerome Bettis.
Yeah, the bus.
Brian Westbrook.
Brian Westbrook, yep.
The internet is telling me Sean Taylor, the inventor of the Lambeau Leap, number 36. All right, so back to me comparing Joe Paterno to Charles Oakley.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, I just want to run some shit by you. Okay. Have you guys ever had a friendship that's ended over disagreement about sports?
No.
Not about
politics?
Sports, no.
Yes. Sports? No.
Okay, because I recently, now granted, sports wasn't the entire reason that I basically put the fucking stake through the heart of the friendship, but it was a recurring theme of this former friend of mine. Basically, he liked to give, he liked to talk shit when his team won, and especially when his team beat my team. And anytime I brought anything up in the reverse, when my team won or his team did badly, it was just scorched earth policy on his end. And finally, I just had enough of it. So I was like, dude, you act like a miserable little bitch when fucking, it's good natured ribbing. What is your fucking problem?
Is this Super Bowl related, Rich?
Yes, it is. And it was okay. I mean, just to I'm not going to name names, but it was 4 days after the Super Bowl. I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I see a picture where someone had taken from the Fresh Prince episode where he's like, "Why doesn't my dad want me, man?" They'd taken the Fresh Prince's head and put the Super Bowl trophy in there and said, "Why don't the Falcons want me, man?" And I literally saw it, copied it, pasted it to his wall with no comment, and then moved on. And dude just fucking unloaded like the guns of the Navarone on me. And it's not the first time. And I was like, are you serious right now? Yeah. I mean, and I'm like, are you serious right now? Or are you fucking with me? And he's like, no, you don't get to come in here 4 days after the fact and talk shit. You should have talked shit the night of or the next day. You get 24 to 48 hours. That's all you get to talk shit. And I'm like, what? What fucking rule who made this rule? You? So you get to make the rules? And he come back with, that's right. I get to make the rules. I'm glad you understand.
This is just this breed of butthurt sports fan that I just don't understand. I was talking to the wife the other day because she had a situation at work where boss laid into her, and an excuse that he used, I am not making this up, was it was the night that the Lions lost in the playoffs and he was in a bad mood. And then now hearing you tell this, I just scratch my head at people like this. It's like, man, like, I like sports and all, but for real, like, I was telling her, like, you see me when the Lions lose. I go, that sucks, and I move on with my day. I don't hold a grudge, you know.
Like, I'm the biggest homer I know about the Lions, and when they lose, I'm like, oh, well, there's next week. Next year,
she's not getting the back of my hand because the Lions lost. I'm not going to kick the fucking cat because the Tigers dropped 3 in a row. Like, I guess I just don't get it, man.
And so, I brought up what I thought were valid points. Okay, first of all, I've heard of this through other sports fans I've met over the years, this 24-hour rule. Okay, when their team loses, they piss and moan, sulk for 24 hours, and they stay off of social media because they don't want to hear it. But I've never heard you can only talk shit for 24 to 48 hours, and after that, then, as he put it, you get the foot in your ass. And I'm like...
Internet tough guy.
And I'm like, I said, first of all, I'm sorry my DeLorean's in the shop and Doc Brown and I couldn't hop in it, go back in time to this arbitrary period of 24 to 48 hours that somehow you'd have been cool with me talking shit. Because I just literally saw it 2 minutes before I posted it to your wall. Second of all, if you're this much of a miserable bastard over this 4 days later, do you expect me to believe you're going to be cool and let it slide 10 minutes after they fucking lost that game?
Well, I guess
come on.
The bigger comment could be too, like, dude, good luck with life. If a football game fucks you up that much, dude, it's going to be a long life.
The third one was, I was like, it's fucking sports. If sports get to you this much, get a new hobby. And then the last line was, and I know how hard-headed and self-righteous you like to get when anyone dares stand up to you about anything, and you like to make a big show of unfriending them. Don't bother. Already did you the favor. Hit post, drop down, unfriend. That's it. But I mean, it's just, to me, it's asinine.
That was said to you?
No, that's what I did to him.
Oh, because
I wasn't giving him a chance.
Preemptive strike.
Well, dude, this is a guy who he didn't like a certain person running for president. And 3 months before New Year's Eve, made an announcement that he's went and he's looked on Facebook and all his friends that like this person, if they have till midnight 12:01 to unlike this person, or else he's going to unfriend them. And then he would every couple days give warnings like, countdown, this is your warning. And I'm like, who the fuck?
This person grossly overestimates how much time other people spend thinking of him. Or her, or whoever.
It just, to me, I was like, okay. And so, as you see, like, it was many things, but sports has been
there's more that tolerance.
Earl and I have known each other. Earl and I have known each other 20 years, and at times, because his favorite player may not have been on the same team as my favorite player, when the teams played, we had different rooting interests. But I mean, dude, seriously, Earl, be honest with me, and because if I'm just not seeing it, let me know. I don't think you've ever been like, I'm never going to talk to Rich again because he talked shit about fucking sports.
No, I actually grew up learning how to talk shit because of you.
I mean, it's just, isn't sports like, that's part of the fun?
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's part of this new era that we're in. You can't talk shit to people. Hurts their feelings. They get butthurt, and just it can't be like me and you were before, Rich. How we just go back and forth to say the most fucked up things about each other's teams. That period's gone. This is the new era that we're in.
Hey man, I tried to explain to the wife, talking shit comes with the penis. Like it's born into you. It's not like we set out to do it on purpose. I'd say if you're a male, it's kind of something that's innate in you. Like,
well, if you play sports, that's how you learn to lose, ideally. And if you don't play sports, shit talking and basically busting balls is how you learn to accept that things aren't going to go your way 100% of the time just because you want them to. I mean, like, as much as Earl and I will go at each other on this show, when the show ends and we continue and we talk, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not like, now there's been times I'm like, oh my God, dude, Jesus, fucking, really? Like I think you take some shit too far because I think it's a bit, but you swear it's not. And I'm just like, all right, and I shake my head. But I mean, it's not like I'm telling you that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, how dare you disagree with me about the general manager for the Cucamonga Cracker Killers? You know what I'm saying?
When Chris and I were talking about the Super Bowl, and he and I disagreed about if it's the greatest Super Bowl ever, I wasn't like, oh, well, fuck Chris. I ain't never get on the podcast again. Man, fuck that.
That's what I'm saying.
Trust me, with the three of us, there have been many heated discussions on this show. And at no point after the show have any of us been, fuck that guy. Like, I don't know. It's, guys, I think we're come to realization we're going to classify ourselves as maybe a newer version of an old school male because, I don't know, man.
Well, this is the participation.
And you're talking to somebody who got picked on growing up, like, all the fucking time. I should have the fucking snowflake mentality. I should fucking, I should be a pussy, I guess you could say. But at some point, it's like, I don't know. It's evolution kicks in, and you're like, all right. Sometimes the tongue can be sharper, the brain can be faster, and you learn to cope different ways. But now, apparently, everyone's got a nice little eggshell around them.
Well, you were going to say something, Earl. What were you going to say?
This is the participation trophy era. This is what happens. I mean, not only do they not know how to lose, they don't know how to cope with people that win.
Well, too, they also don't know how to win. Just as bad as they are losers or just as bad as winners.
I 100% agree, but they don't know how to cope with other people that have won. Like when Rich posts that comment or somebody, bashes their team for losing because their team won. It's like, it's the end of the world. It's like you just talked about my dad and I got to kill you now.
Yeah, I mean, perfect example is that our teams were playing each other, and there was some shit talking back and forth before the game started, and basically I didn't give my team a chance. I was like, look, they're running Mike Glennon out there as quarterback. Motherfucker looks like a Shaggy, but deeper on the fucking autism spectrum. I don't expect to win this fucking game. And anytime I think you two can attest to this. Anytime my team has lost, Michigan to Ohio State. You know what I'm saying? I take my fucking lumps. I go, yep, they got outplayed. Shit happens. They're not that good yet. I don't take it personal. And even as much as I hate, like, the Colorado Avalanche, if one of you guys were a diehard Colorado Avalanche fan, and for whatever reason, they just started dominating the Red Wings all over again, like it was the mid-'90s and the shit was cool.
Hey, Rich.
Huh.
It's not even in sports, though. It's all, even in your expertise of music. When you were young and you had your guitar and shit, if you couldn't figure out something, you sat there and practiced day in and day out until you fucking had it. Nowadays, kids can play whatever the fuck they want on their instrument, and the parents are like, oh, that's beautiful, that's golden, that sounds exactly like it, you're the shit. And then they go out to these clubs and they go out to play live events, and they're like playing what their mom said was great, and the people are like, are you fucking kidding me? We're strained on regimented territory here, but that spilled over into music in general if you watch the Grammys on Sunday. Like, my point. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel out of touch and old because I feel like am I insane? Is what constitutes good music anymore? What constitutes talent? I'm apparently not sure of it anymore because the shit has changed.
I don't know because I don't know who Chance the Rapper is, and I don't know why he's won Grammys.
No idea either. I just want to wrap up because I kind of sprung this subject on you guys. I just want to wrap it up by saying, if you're out there and you're listening to us, and you're one of these people, male, female, doesn't matter, our age, young kid, whatever, who gets that upset about losses, and you feel you have to just like bring up the most you just feel like you just have to drop every bomb in your arsenal on the person because they fucking good naturedly gave you a little bit of fucking a poke in the ribs. Seriously, do yourself and everyone else a favor. Turn off the TV, go outside, take a couple deep breaths of that fresh air, and get some fucking perspective. Because no one likes people like that. No one. People like you are tolerated by people. Eventually, their patience will wear beyond thin. It'll be worn down to the nub. So that was the whole point of bringing that up.
You're evolving. When we started podcasting together almost 3 years ago, I was waiting for you to say, suck a tailpipe, chew some lead, do us all a favor. So, hey. See, well, I mean, it works. We talk it.
The joking part of me
enlightens you.
The joking part of me, still wants to say that. Like, if the person was in front of me and he was like, yeah, you know what, I overreacted, then I would hit him with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because that's part of the busting balls thing. Like, oh, you feel bad? Let's see if I can make you feel worse. That's just what guys do. All right? But, like, seriously, it's sports. It's entertainment. I mean, I literally asked him, did you have a lot of money on the game? Like, if he lost a lot of money on the game, I could understand being that upset.
Bro, I get evicted in 30 days, man. Like, yeah, okay. I could see that.
Yeah, well, then, my bad, dude. I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But just, like, seriously, 4 days after a loss, you're that salty? I mean, dude, you got to remember, as a Red Wings fan, there was a point where I was convinced that I was never going to see them win a cup in my lifetime. I thought they were going to win it in 95, and they got swept. I thought they were going to win it in 96, and Colorado just ran raw up in their ass. I was like, shit, they're never going to fucking win it. It didn't ruin my entire summer. It didn't ruin 4 days a week after the final loss. It was just, it sucks, and you move on. I mean, maybe I'm not as dedicated of a fan as I should be. I don't know. To me, it's
half-ass sports fans. I'm just saying.
It's the new butthurt America, man. Like I think that's a symptom of it too. Like every little thing is now critiqued, made fun of, and microaggressions and this and that. Oh, for the love of God! Like,
yeah, and it has bled over into sports because I forced myself a few times in the last week since we recorded our last episode to watch a few different of the highlight shows. One on the 4-Letter Network, one on Fox Sports Network. And really, some of these stories, I'm like, is there nothing else to report on?
There really isn't. I was going to tell you guys that before we got into the NBA too much. Ever since football ended, football needs to be a year-round sport. Because ever since football ended, they've come up with some real humdingers for stories.
Hey, man, what? You got the combine in what? A month and a half? You got the draft in 2. And then after
OTAs.
That, it's like what? Yeah, and then after that, it's like what? 2 months of training camp.
I do think it's worth mentioning, Chris, about Mike.
Huge loss last week, and I think I feel like it kind of got buried because it happened on what, like
very
Friday
much
afternoon.
So. Very much buried.
Mike Ilitch passing on, and it's.
I don't think nationally he doesn't have he's not Al Davis, Jerry Jones, George Steinbrenner.
And I don't know why.
And that,
I don't know that personality.
Because even as people who grew up in Detroit, with him owning Detroit teams, you didn't see him until it was time to see him, until they were accepting a trophy, or until they'd won a Stanley Cup, or something like that. He wasn't. He never tried to make himself as big of a part of the team as the other owners I mentioned. You know, Jerry Jones, more people want an interview with Jerry Jones than they want with any quarterback he's ever had, and that includes ICEman. More people wanted interviews with Al Davis than most of the Raiders since 2003. You know, and Steinbrenner was Steinbrenner was just the shadow that was completely that overcast the entire Yankees organization. I mean, you can make an argument that once he bought that team, it was George Steinbrenner's New York Yankees, and that's how it was presented in the press nationally. Mike Ilitch bought the Red Wings, hired people, gave them the tools to turn the team around, and they did it the hard way. I mean, he bought the team in '83. First draft pick was Steve Dead Things.
Yeah, they the Dead Things. They were giving away cars and shit to get people to come to see games.
And you got to remember that Joe wasn't that old at that point. He was only 3 or 4 years old, so they had a new stadium, and I mean, they had everything, they got Steve Eisman with the first draft pick under Mike Ilitch. And I mean, it still took 13 years for them to win a cup. I mean, they built that team in a way that wasn't flashy. They did it by, they got Sergei Fedorov, and, the story of how he defected and ended up on the team, they could turn that into a movie in and of itself. But a lot of the players who ended up being career Red Wings were low draft picks that no one else wanted. They went to Europe and started scouting players that people were overlooking because no one wanted. The European style of play ain't going to work in the NHL. Fast forward 10 years and you have the Russian Five.
I think one thing that gets downplayed about Mr. Ilitch is his eye for talent. Not only the athletic talent on the field or the ice, but the eye for talent that he put in the front office. I mean, Ken Holland. That's all I got to say.
Ken Holland,
Dave,
and you can
Dave Dombrowski.
Yes.
I mean, he knew. I mean, it's kind of like the George W. Bush philosophy: put people smarter than you around you. I mean, and I tell you, man, what's funny though is you talk about how he built those 97, 98 team block by block, piece by piece. My favorite team though was 2002 when Mike Ilitch went all Steinbrenner, pretty much. The team that pretty much forced the salary cap now in the NHL, the 2002 team. I mean, that team was just fun to watch. I mean, but it was what were the first two lines? Aren't they all Hall of Famers?
There was a total of 10 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
out of 20 people that laced up to skate. And by the way, people that aren't in the Hall of Fame are people like Darren McCarty, who has 4 cups to his name when he retired.
Yeah.
Which is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, he won't give a shit that he's not in the Hall of Fame. He'll pull out his Patrick Waugh line. What? I got these Stanley Cup rings in my ears.
Yeah, because just so you know, Patrick Waugh and Darren McCarty have the same amount of Stanley Cup wins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, granted, Patrick Waugh, as much as I hated the man, and I still think he's a piece of shit and a scumbag as a coach, the way he left Colorado hanging because he wasn't getting his way, which is what Patty does. He's always been that way. You can't take away his ability and you can't take away his talent, and if I was building a team from scratch and I could get him as a rookie over almost any other goalie from the lifetime I've had, I'd take Patrick Waugh. But still, for all that, he has the same amount of cup wins as Darren McCarty, which has got to burn his ass.
You don't think D-Mac will ever get in? Like, maybe down the road?
No. Mm-mm. I don't even know if Osgood will ever get in. Yeah, remember, Osgood isn't considered a Hall of Famer. Osgood, even though his stats dictate that he should have been.
Didn't he win 2 of those cups?
Oh, yeah. He won the cup in 2008. He won the cup in 97, 98.
Yeah.
But the problem is that, and this is kind of.
Was Osgood 02? Wasn't Vernon 97, 98?
No, Vernon was 96, 97. Then they traded him.
But Osgood was backup, though.
Yeah, it was his backup. And then,
02, wasn't it Hasek?
Hasek and Kevin Hodson.
Yeah, that's right.
But see, and this kind of goes back to this how silently Mike Ilitch put together from the top down an organization that was so good that a guy like Osgood, who people say was just a better than average goalie, not a Hall of Fame goalie, has Hall of Fame numbers. And when they say, well, when people go look at his numbers, how can you deny he's, should be in the Hall of Fame? They go, because of the defense that was in front of him. Larry Murphy, Nick Lindstrom, Bob Rouse. I mean, you had guys in front of him, Chris Chelios, I mean, you had
Konstantinov.
Konstantinov, yeah. I mean, you had guys who, I mean, these are immortals in the history of the game and will always be in front of them. But doesn't it, to me, that speaks to taking a team known as the Dead Things when he bought it and turning it into the premier hockey destination for almost 2 decades, to the point where if you were a free agent and you didn't get a call from the Red Wings, you had to be thinking, what the fuck did I not do right?
I mean, we've used it before, but I mean, really, we were the New York Yankees of hockey for about 5 years there.
Detroit's called the Hockey Town USA. Come on.
And and you could argue maybe even up to 08, 09 we were a hockey destination. But it just seems like, after the whole, what was that, 08, where we were one game away from closing it out and we blew it.
Oh, that was 09.
Yeah, 09. I mean, that was what? That was the Marian Hossa debacle?
Yeah.
Where he disappeared in the playoffs and then disappeared on us. But then Hossa was the next week or next year.
Hossa was on the Penguins in 2008 when we beat the Penguins, and then Hossa jumped ship over to the Red Wings and lost to the Penguins, which had to burn his ass. And then Holland gave the Mule, because he produced in the playoffs, the contract, Thomas Holmstrom, the bigger contract, and let Hossa go. Hossa went to the Blackhawks, where he now has 2 Stanley Cups. So, I mean, retrospect being what it is. Yeah, retrospect being what it is, that's one of Holland's worst moves ever. But, I mean, we've talked about this, on past shows. The Red Wings are like, or actually you should say, like the Patriots are like the Red Wings. Hey, regular season records are nice. You don't produce in the playoffs, you're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to bring you here just because you're a nice name. I mean, when Belichick went to his GM, went to Robert Kraft and said, I need Rodney Harrison, they didn't even question him. They just said, right. And he was a big question mark to every other team in the league. And on Belichick's word alone, they okay, we'll sign him. Cool. He was literally sitting in Al Davis's waiting room when he got the call that the Patriots had made an offer. He got up, went to the receptionist and said, tell Mr. Davis I'm sick and I'm sorry I couldn't make this appointment, and then flew out to New England and signed his contract.
And by sick, that's how that means sick of losing.
So what's that tell you? I mean, what people outside Detroit also don't realize is that this is a hometown boy who grew up on the east side of Detroit, played minor league ball, joined the Marines, did his stint in the Marines, got out, went back to minor league ball, got out of minor league ball, and started a little pizza shop in Garden City, Michigan.
10 fucking G's.
In Garden City, Michigan, literally 3 miles from where I'm sitting right now, and turned it into one of the biggest pizza empires in the world at this point. And he never left Michigan. He stayed here.
No.
He wanted, before he even bought the Red Wings, he wanted to buy the Tigers, but they weren't for sale. So he bought the Red Wings. A few years later, when the Tigers went up for sale, Tom Monahan, who at that point was the owner and founder of Domino's and was still involved with that, outbid him and bought the Tigers out from underneath him. And he bid his time until Monahan sold the Tigers 10 years later, and he bought them. And yes, the Tigers went through some shit years, but if you really look at it, the Tigers built a World Series class team in less time than the Red Wings built a Stanley Cup final class team.
Well, I was going to say, they actually, if you look at it, they kind of had the same timeline. Ilitch buys the Red Wings in 82. By 97, they're winning a cup. That's 15 years. Buys the Tigers in 92. By 2006, they're in the World Series. I mean, it just reeks of this guy has a plan going into whatever he's going into. Yeah, the dividends might not pay off, immediately, but the way he built teams, and you could see it in both organizations, he's building for long term. He's not building for winning next year. He's building for winning multiple years, a few years down the road.
Exactly. And if anybody doubts that, look at the Red Wings playoff streak, which, granted, unless a miracle happens, is coming to an end this season, as it should, because it's time for the Red Wings to blow that team up and rebuild. But that's just the nature of the beast. I mean, the game, when that streak started, is completely different than the game is now. And for them to not only make the playoffs, but win 4 Stanley Cups in that time period is fucking mind-blowing. I mean, show me another team that had a streak like that in any sports history. The closest you can come is the New England Patriots, but it still hasn't been as long. Still hasn't been almost 25 years. And the Patriots have missed the playoffs since Brady and Belichick took the reins of that team.
Yeah, the thing is, too, is good luck to any professional sports team at this point for breaking that record, because it's going to take you at least 2.5 decades to do so. So good luck, everybody.
But I mean, I also think this is just an aside. It's not really sports related. Owners get a lot of shit because when they want stadiums built, why does the city or the county or whoever have to kick money in? Mike Ilitch bought property that nobody wanted, that people wanted tore down, a.k.a. the Fox Theater here in Detroit.
Yep.
Renovated that and turned it into one of the premier, a 2,000-seat theater? It's one of the premier theaters in this region of the country. And then across the street built Comerica Park. And then down the street is building the new Red Wings facilities. And by the way, across the street from Comerica Park is where Ford Field got put. Yeah, that downtown area basically owes a lot to Mike Ilitch.
It owes everything to Mike Ilitch. I don't think you have Penske and Gilbert even thinking about coming down there if Ilitch doesn't go there first. Mike Ilitch was revitalizing Detroit before revitalizing Detroit was cool.
Exactly.
Right? He moved the headquarters of Little Caesars from Farmington Hills to the Fox Theater in like 88. All right. You guys remember Woodward Avenue in 1988? I sure do. Definitely wasn't a place you were relocating a business, at least not where he was at. I mean,
if you want to see what it looked like back in the day, hunt down an obscure movie called Tiger Town with Roy Schreider and watch that movie, because the whole movie is about a kid trying to get to Tiger Stadium to watch Roy Schreider, and he's a tiger in the film, play.
I have seen the movie.
And
I was a kid, but I thought
they go all through Detroit. This kid trying to get there. And then look at Detroit, that part of Detroit, not the part of not the ruin porn that they're going to show you on the national news, because you can go out. Is that Detroit or Beirut? We don't know. I'm talking about downtown. Downtown looked like hell back then. All right, we're talking the difference between we're talking difference between Martin Scorsese's beginning of his career, Times Square, and Times Square now. That's what we're talking. Completely two different worlds.
That is very apt. When Mike Ilitch bought the Fox, it was a few years removed from being a fucking porn theater. All right, that's the Cass Corridor. It's funny how everyone's forgotten about the Cass Corridor, and now it's called Midtown.
Yeah, I know, right?
And by the way, every hipster that's sitting there bitching about another stadium, that's sitting there bitching about all this shit that they're building in downtown Detroit, well, guess fucking what? You wouldn't have a place to sit there and bitch about if it wasn't for Mike Ilitch. The bottom line. Like, you could argue he single-handedly started the turnaround. He was investing in the city when nobody else. You guys know how I feel about Detroit. I think it's a shithole. But as far as a guy who's been a booster, I saw a tweet the other day from podcast host Rich that you and I listen to all the time. Said Detroit never had a better friend when the chips were down. I think that is a very good synopsis about Mr. Ilitch.
Definitely. And I'll be honest with you, not a big fan of Little Caesars pizza, but the pizza itself. But that's neither here nor there. People tend to forget that he started through Little Caesars, the Little Caesars Hockey League, which has sent over 100 players to the NHL in its period of time. This is Little Kid Hockey League. 100 players. That is unheard of outside of something like legit Little League baseball, like where they have their World Series, to send that many players from a basically regional league for little kids, especially here in America. You know, and another thing that people overlook is that he's one of the few people who actually spent money. I mean, there's a fully functional ice ring down at Clark Park, which used to be, you know, if Clark Park was mentioned, it was in a rap song about, you know, people getting murdered and killed and shit. You know, driving through Clark Park in my beat up Skylark type shit. And, you know, you have black kids playing hockey, and I don't think that would be the case if it wasn't for someone like Mike Ilitch. If it wasn't for Mike Ilitch, period.
Yeah, and too, a lot of things, that Rosa Parks story that came out, you know, I'm familiar.
Did you hear that one, Earl?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. It's, you know, I know some people that work under the Ilitch umbrella, and those stories like that Rosa Parks stories are a lot more common than we think. And then they usually involve people who have a lot less notoriety than Rosa Parks. You know, Mike Ilitch is one of those guys that he wasn't telling you the shit he was doing as far as charity work went. You know, he just did it, and then people would talk about it after the fact. He wasn't putting out a press release. He wasn't holding a press conference. He wasn't doing look what I did. He would just do it, and then shit like that just kind of bubbled to the surface. You know, I mean, the guy was a true philanthropist. You know, he's a self-made guy. And I think, but the most important part is he didn't forget where he came from. You know, he always, I think, stayed in that mindset of like, this could all go away tomorrow. You know, so it didn't seem like he took it for granted, you know, especially with a lot of the owners we see nowadays. You know, just, you want two opposite ends of the spectrum. At one end, you got Mike Ilitch. At the other end, you got Jerry Jones and your Al Davises, you know, guys like that.
The look at me brigade.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, should we get back to our original subject?
Great, man. Just saying.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's as far as in Detroit sports, that's a huge hole, man. And, you know, everybody, at least the three people on this podcast, you got to feel sorry for him. He never got his World Series. I mean, yeah. And he drove hard in 2012, too. You know, I think anyone close to the guy might have seen the end coming in 2012. And it's like, you know, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that seemed like a desperate-ass move, didn't it?
Yeah, him basically going above Dombrowski's head and saying, we're going to bring Fielder in, and that's just all there is to it. And then the fact that when he came out, when they won the ALCS, and, you know, they were doing the trophy and MVP presentation, he was out there. Anyone who's seen him during the Red Wings or even 2006 with the Tigers knew that he was not in the best of health at that point. Like, you could see that, you know, it wasn't, people weren't exactly on a death watch for him, but they were like, ooh, okay, yeah, guess what? Time does not stand still for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a difference between Mike Ilitch with his first Stanley Cup in 1997 and Mike Ilitch at the rally in 2006. Yeah. It's definitely two different Mike Ilitches. But yeah, the guy was 87. So, I mean, in 2006, he's what? So he's pushing 80? So, yeah, man, it's Father Time, undefeated, billions and So, but yeah, big hole in the Detroit sports, and
huge.
Yeah, hopefully, come on, buy the Lions, just do it.
I know,
but the thing is,
people have been saying that for years, man.
Years.
Here's the thing: the problem was that the third person in that equation was Chris Ilitch, who now is the default owner of the Red Wings. or no, of the Tigers. That's right. On paper, Marion Ilitch, because there's that whole, you can't own two sports teams in the same town.
Yeah.
Marion Ilitch technically owns the Red Wings. They were an anniversary gift. And Mike owns the Tigers. I was like, and when Ford died, I was like, hey, Chris Ilitch, buy the Lions, and there you go. Might see a Super Bowl before we all die.
But yeah, there's a whole lot of what the fucking news reports that we could talk about. Obviously, Oakley with the ban, and Michael Jordan had to somehow negotiate the ban being lifted. Did you guys hear about the 100th win for UConn?
Oh, yeah.
There's debate whether that's good or bad for college women's basketball.
Is that in a row?
Yeah, 100 wins in a row.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's without Pat
Summit.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you know, we covered it when she died, and I'll be the first one to tell you, women's sports is not something I follow, but I mean, she was dominant in her field, and you can't take that away from her, no matter who you are. I mean, even the most misogynistic person who thinks that women's sports shouldn't even be, their highlights shouldn't even be on ESPN, can't take away that woman, basically walked in and said, yeah, well, there's me and UConn and the rest of fucking, the women's NCAA.
Is she the female
field.
Belichick?
She has to be, dude.
Yeah, she was.
I mean, I'd say that I'd even go, I know I default to hockey a lot, but I'd say she's up there with like, the greatest of all time, like Scotty Bowman, Bear Bryant, Lombardi, people like that. I mean, you can't, it's almost impossible to be as dominant as she was. And the fact that she's no longer there and this team is still doing it, that her fingerprints are on that. I mean, it's something that.
Well, it's probably a nod to the athletic director too.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. But I mean, it's something that you hear a lot of, that, players have to buy into a coach's, system and the process. They have to buy into it. Well, obviously, if you were being drafted by her, you bought in before you even signed your letter of intent, or else she probably wouldn't even have talked to you a second time. I mean, it's just like, look here. I have the track record. I have the proven track record. You're going to come in here and argue with me? Then go play for somebody else.
I've been coaching for decades. You've been playing for maybe half of one, maybe almost a decade. I would listen to me.
But yeah, to me, that's a hell of an accomplishment in college sports. And with the landscape today, you may never see that again, even in women's NCAA sports. I mean, not in the major sports. I mean, maybe you'll see it like lacrosse or some shit, but
it hasn't ended yet. That's the thing. When's it going to end? That's just 100.
No, I got it. But I mean, we as a society, for whatever reason, we're attracted to nice round numbers. And 100 is like, a nice round number. The next one will probably be 125 if they make it to that. Then it'd be 150. I mean, that's just insane. To me, that's like Cal Ripken's streak. It's never going to be broken.
Oh, no. What was it, 2195 or 2165 or something like that?
Some shit like that. I mean, that's just insane, dude.
Or like the Red Wings playoff streak.
Yeah. I mean, especially if they keep adding teams and they keep fighting for more and more parity to where every team is, almost exactly the same. They won't allow a team to build a dynasty. Then yeah, it will become harder and harder. So, I mean, that's one of the things I like about college sports. Take away the teams that have been caught paying players and bribing them and shit like that. Really, it's up to the coach and the brand of that team to sell itself to make sure it stays on top. And you can see real quickly what happens when you get a coach that just doesn't fit the brand by looking at Michigan and what happened once Rich Rod stepped in.
Or Chip Kelly and any NFL team.
Yeah. NFL teams are a little bit different. I mean, you can't help who you get drafted by.
Nick Saban in the NFL.
But you can definitely choose, your college football team. And that's one of the things that I thought was interesting, in articles I've read over the years about why guys who move on to the NFL are still so connected to the programs that they chose to go to because, hey, they chose that team. You can't. It's like the difference between being drafted in the Army and choosing to join the Marines. There's a reason they say the few, the proud, the Marines, and there's a reason the Army back in the day drafted everybody. Marines didn't want just anybody. They wanted the fuckers who were crazy enough to think they were good enough to be in there. Army was like, we just need warm bodies. Come on in. So, I mean, it's not a slam against the Army. That's just how it was back in the day of, Vietnam and the draft. So, if you have an issue with what I said, I don't know, dig up the people that fucking made those laws and take it out on them. Leave me the fuck out of it.
Or vote.
Yeah. Every once in a while.
Yeah, maybe every 2 years instead of every 4. But
So what's
another
Earl?
podcast.
What's your take on the Oakley thing, man?
Actually, to be honest with you, I think it's a non-issue. If that happened in Milwaukee or Sacramento or somewhere, nobody's going to talk about it.
Or if it's not Charles Oakley, if it's, random fan. This is just another, to look at it, you put your hands on security, you're fair game, whether you're drunk or not.
The fact in and of itself that he got kicked out of Madison Square Garden, that's what I'm saying is a non-issue. What made it an issue, and what I have a huge problem with, is the way Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, reacted. Because he came out and just slammed Oakley and made him, just look stupid in the public's eye, telling everybody he has a problem with alcoholism, and he doesn't. He even said, he might have a problem with Dolan in his press conference said, or not his press conference, but on the podcast or whatever, said he might have a problem with alcohol. But, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, then shut the fuck up. Don't talk about your former players that way. And then when he placed a ban on him, ban a former player like that for one little incident.
If they touch your security, you're allowed to do whatever you want.
Well, you're allowed to, but you don't do it. For what?
Why not?
Bring them into your fucking office, sit down, and be like, look, you're a man, I'm a man. That wasn't right. Don't do that shit in my arena, or you're done.
Earl, if that was any of the three of us, though, we wouldn't have gotten that consideration. I guess that's where I kind of have a problem with the stuff you said Spike Lee and whoever was saying. Because you were good at sports 20 years ago, we're just supposed to forget about this one instance of you being an asshole?
I don't know that that's true, though, Chris. I don't think we would have got banned. I think we would have got thrown out of the arena.
Dude, you go to any game, get froggy with the security guard, see how that turns out for you.
Yeah, but I really don't doubt. If I have season tickets to a team, whatever, and the next thing I know, they had an issue with me, and I threw my hands up, and the security guards came up, and we started a fight, and I got kicked out. I highly doubt that I would be banned. Rich, am I right?
It depends on in my experience, it depends on the sport, because weren't people banned, like given bans for doing exactly that back in the Silverdome days?
No,
fighting in the stands.
I don't think they were banned. Chris, I don't think they were banned for like eternity. I don't think they could come back to that game, maybe another 1 or 2 games, but a lifetime ban from the arena? I highly doubt that's the case. And hear me out here, not because they feel sorry for me or anything, but they want my money. I'm buying those tickets. I'm buying the concessions. I'm buying the memorabilia. If I'm not allowed in the stadium, not only am I not buying it, my family's not going to buy it. I'm going to tell my friends not to buy it.
Well, now I present to you this devil's advocate argument, Earl. So I hang on to your money, but to everyone who sat around you who might not come back, fuck them.
No, I'm with you on that, but that's why I say give, maybe a game. Hey, you're not allowed back for this game or next. We'll have you back the game after, and if you can behave yourself, you're good. But it was his first instance. It was the first time Charles Oakley ever did anything like that.
I was just about to bring up, I bet you maybe it isn't. This might be the first time we're hearing about something. Like, I don't know, the more we talk about this, the more my, where smoke, there's fire, spidey sense just starts tingling a little more. This makes me wonder, maybe this isn't the first time. Maybe he's had warnings.
No, I think it is the first time, because if there was other times, Dolan would have put that shit on blast when he tried to convince everybody he had an alcohol problem. There's no way he's going to hold that back.
I don't know. I just think there might be more to this story, because it just and two, Spike Lee and the rest of you guys, where were you? It seems like they're at least this. I'm just going off by what you guys told me. Maybe there was more said, but like I said, we're defending him based on what he did before. They didn't talk shit about Dolan for bringing up the alcohol. They were just like, oh, since he played basketball good 20 years ago, it doesn't matter.
No, they were furious at the fact that they brought up the alcohol, because he wasn't drunk. He wasn't hugely intoxicated, and they were really just bent, and they were basically calling him a racist.
Well, here's my beef. Okay, if he was visibly intoxicated, which means let's say his eyes were at half mast. He was starting to slur his words. You could smell it on him. And they believe that was the catalyst for the situation. At what point is it okay for them to start saying he has a problem with alcohol? Shouldn't they just say he appeared visibly intoxicated? He was being disruptive. We asked him to leave. He wouldn't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's no need to go into, well, I mean, he has a problem with alcohol. Really? Who the fuck are you to be talking about his problems with substances? Just because, I mean, I'm sorry, right now, I challenge anyone who thinks I'm bullshitting. Next time, when the NFL season starts back up, go to your fucking home team's game, pay to get in the parking lot, and ask to breathalyze people. I guarantee you, easily, a third of that crowd is legally drunk, if not half. And that's before they go into the game. And if you think I'm bullshitting about professional football, go to a fucking college football game and hang out the tailgate.
Where everybody will be drunk.
Now, are you going to sit here and say that all those people have problems with alcohol? No. Part of going to a game is enjoying yourself, having some drinks, setting the mood, getting loose. That's the reason they sell those fucking drinks. Okay, well, that makes them money. All right. This is the reason I've yet to be to any stadium there's not a bar in. And I'm not talking vendors. I'm talking a walk-in, sit-down bar at the fucking place. I think it's called the Fifth Avenue in Comerica Park. It's called the Olympia Club at the Joe. And I forget what it's called at Ford Field. But, I mean, to me, the owner was just, I'm going to throw everything to the wall to try to cover my ass. And whatever sticks. And because this is, our society is like, oh, if someone has a problem with alcohol, because, Britney Spears puts on a bad show and she goes to rehab for exhaustion. That's the way our society's set up these days. It seems like it's the cheap way to say that, yeah, he was being a dick to security and probably because he's an alcoholic, which is, let's be honest, if he's never said he's an alcoholic, if he's never had any charges put against him, which I don't know Charles Oakley's history all that well, but if he's never been charged with any crime where alcohol was a factor, that's slander.
Right.
That's defamation of character.
And not just that, Rich, he retracted it. He lifted the ban, issued an apology. He just kept making things worse and worse and worse as he kept going along. Dolan, that is.
I think a lot of that has to do with he misread the room. He thought he was going to have a lot more support than he did. And
Agreed.
But I've been reading while you guys have been talking. Oakley probably also, but Oakley didn't help his case when he admitted that he had been drinking before the game. I'm not defending the actions of the owner. I'm with you, Rich. That's kind of out of place. Just say he fucking was getting aggressive with our security and end it. But he didn't help his case by admitting that he was drinking before it, which, yeah, most of the people in that stadium are drunk. I guess my issue is more with it's just go to the Big Four, go to any stadium, get loud and aggressive with security, see what happens.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Didn't the vet have a fucking holding cell in its basement when it was still around?
And I believe they had a judge to actually issue fines. And yeah, if you were way too out of control, you'd be taken to their version of, city jail for further, held for further trial or whatever. So, I mean, at least that's all my friends from Philly have said. I never went to the vet. I was never there, but it could be one of them urban legends, but for everybody to say the exact same thing, come on. It's kind of like Eddie Griffin said, he's like, people have been saying Whitney Houston smokes crack for 20 years. If someone says something about you for 20 years, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I'm saying? So, and then of course she died from cocaine intoxication. There you go. So, but
did she technically die from drowning?
Oh, I thought she fucking had a seizure or whatever, cocaine induced seizure.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. Once again, I don't give a shit enough about Whitney Houston to know any of that.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it was a 1-2. I think the coke made her unconscious, and she was in the bathtub, and then that was it. It was kind of.
Which, how much coke do you have to do to be unconscious from it? That is a lot of fucking cocaine, man. That's like your body is shutting down on you. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm not one to talk. You listen to a couple episodes. You can dig them up if you want of Unregimented. I've done my share of shit, but god damn.
Yeah, my one experience with cocaine, it's supposed to keep you awake, right? Like she went to the other end of the scale, apparently.
Well, I mean, some people drop acid and it strips their ego and it puts a mirror up to their inner selves and they come to peace with it. Other people drop acid and think the couch is trying to eat them. So
Shut up, Rich.
It happens.
Hey, merits to both of those experiences. It depends on who you're with.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with Oakley. I just think it was what it was. It was an instance. Okay, move on. But no, the owner just, and I think you're right, Rich. He read the room wrong, thinking people are going to be like, "Yeah, Charles, what the fuck is your problem?"
But you don't think there's just a touch of "Don't you know who I am" in this?
Oh yeah,
definitely, yeah. And that's something the more and more athlete autobiographies I read, especially the ones who have either cleaned up their act or really want to clean up their act when they look back on their behavior and they recount those "don't you know who I am" moments. Those are the things that embarrass them the most, almost. I mean, it's just it's a standard thing to where they get to that chapter and they're like, I feel nothing but shame and embarrassment, and I should, because I was an asshole, and that's what assholes do.
This is all leading to, by the way, that they're saying Melo might go to Cleveland for sure now.
Well, didn't
they got a Kevin Love-sized hole in their lineup now? So
they do for 6 weeks.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The scuttlebutt I heard was that basically the Knicks said, "Give us Kevin Love, and you can have Melo." And Cleveland was like, "Yeah, go kick rocks. It ain't happening. You're not getting them." And so if the Knicks are still shopping Melo, then that tells Cleveland they did the right thing.
The Cleveland's calling them now. Hey, you want Kevin Love?
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. If they say straight up 1-for-1 Love for Melo, and Cleveland goes, "No, I don't think so," and end of negotiation. And then the Knicks call him up and say, "Well, make us another offer." Well, the Love's not going to be in that offer. For whatever reason, they want to hang on to him, no matter how injury prone he may be. I mean, don't forget, just because a player is injury prone doesn't mean he can't get healthy at the right time and contribute. I mean, if you miss
Jamal Charles,
going back to players who missed whole seasons and then came back and dominated in the playoffs. Sergei Fedorov almost sat out an entire fucking season over a contract dispute, came back and,
I still remember that.
Put that team on its back for a few games and led them to a cup victory. That's not unusual. And yes, I know it's a contract dispute, but it's just the first example that popped in my head. And it has happened with players who have been injured. I've heard teams, "Hey, look, yes, our star player is injured." Perfect. Okay, another example. Granted, he didn't lead him to victory, but Terrell Owens was injured through all of those playoffs on Philly's run to the Super Bowl, came back, and he still wasn't 100% on his ankle, and had an amazing game. Even for an injured T.O. Now imagine if he'd have been healthy and Donovan McNabb's nerves had been up to the task, we might be sitting here talking about one less fucking Patriots Super Bowl win.
Right, but you got that, and you got James going, "I need help. I can't do this by myself." And he's already got Kevin Love, so give up Kevin Love and get Melo. That's what everybody said that cry was for him to get Melo.
Yeah, but he wants that big three, dude. I mean, we've beat the James horse to death, but the thing is, I think he wants that big three in fucking like he had in Miami, but he wants it in Cleveland. He wants him, Love, and Melo. That's what he wants, and.
Dude, they are 9.5 games up, and he's talking about, "I need help." Like
that's why everybody said it was a cry for Melo, because you're up. You're the fucking NBA champions. You're defending champion. You're up 9.5 games. Why do you need help?
The only other team with a bigger lead in their division is Golden State. Golden
don't go
State's
there.
up 12. Like, what do you need help with, motherfucker?
Do you know how big Golden State is? People are bitching at them because it's right before the All-Star break, and they've just now lost 9 games. There's like 81 games in a season. They're at the All-Star break and only lost 9 games. Shut the hell up about them. They're fine. Last year, they took the season record and only lost 9 total. The year before that, I think they lost 11. Stop it.
Dude, but Earl, we're in this new trolling society where we have to find the littlest, most minuscule thing and sit there and beat it to fucking death. Like, that's insane to me that people are bitching that Golden State has lost 9. They're at the season's half over. They've lost 9 games. People are upset. Rich, to quote you, get the fuck out of my face. What are you upset about?
Dude, if the Pistons were in that position, this town would be so fucking. There'd be no room on the Pistons bandwagon.
Red and blue would be flowing down Woodward. All right, the Detroit River would be dyed red and fucking blue if we were in that position.
I mean, that's just all there is to it.
I'm just saying, man. Damn. There's 81 games in a season. And out of 3 seasons, you lost, 10, 9, and already 9, so 28 games out of 3 seasons? Stop it.
Oh, dude, I mean, this all goes back to something we've talked about before. I don't know. I mean, none of us are in the man's head, but his actions from the minute he went to Miami to now speak to he's not comfortable being the number one guy in the spotlight. He wants at least another guy to share the spotlight with him.
He's got Kyrie fucking Irving.
Dude, I don't know. I'm not defending him. I'm just going by his actions. He can say, look, this is something I've had to learn over almost 40 years on this fucking rock. People can tell you whatever the fuck they want. What you do is you just nod in all the right places, look them in the eye, and then you watch their actions, and then you really learn what the fuck they're about. Because people will tell you anything they think that you want to hear. But their actions will show you what they're really about. And the fact that he's now in the position he's in, and he has before in the position he was in, asked for more help, tells me all I need to know. This man does not want to be the guy for whatever reason. I mean, if you're more inclined
don't sign $1 billion shoe contract.
If you're more inclined to like him, then you're going to spin it in your mind as he wants to share the spotlight. He wants to take everybody else along with him on this journey and all this shit. If you don't like him, you go, you're a pussy and you don't want the ball when the game's on the line.
Yeah, well.
Then if you're like me, I just don't give a fuck.
That's not who I want on my team. Like, you're the captain. You're supposedly the leader, but you don't want to lead. I don't want you on my team.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I hate to say it. This is not a player that I'm trying to build a team around with his behavior since he went to Miami.
Rich, in our industry, it's like making somebody a manager who don't want to be a manager. You're not going to get the results you want.
Exactly. If you're just throwing someone into a position of leadership because someone has to be there, yeah. It's the person's not motivated to do the job that needs to be done. That's all there is to it.
And you're going to have a bunch of malcontents. Like if he keeps going the way he's going in Cleveland, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that locker. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that locker room now.
That's what I'm saying. How long until the mutiny on the bounty happens here? I mean,
before they just kick him out.
How long until they just say, "Okay, LeBron, shut the fuck up, go sit down in your corner"? When the game's not on the line, and we need you to score a lot, which is what you're good at, then that's when we want to hear from you.
Kind of the Chad Johnson and Keyshawn Johnson type shit.
I'm not to kick him off the team, but if I'm Dan Gilbert, I might be having myself a private meeting with LeBron, going, "What the fuck is wrong with you? You're costing me a lot of money, dipshit. Like, shut up, play basketball, win some games." Like, I don't know, man.
Well, once we touched on it as far as we brought it up, and then we just moved on in a past episode. But Honestly, guys, could this be like some sort of, and when I say mental illness, it's because I don't have a better term that's popping into my head at the moment, but something along those lines that's going, a mental block, I guess would be a better way, that's going on with LeBron, like Zach Greinke had. And Zach Greinke, when he was with the Royals, they had to, look, if you want to be in the game, if you want to be in the show, you got to work this out. And he went and he had a therapist or whatever he had, worked it out, and now he's the Zach Greinke we all know. I mean, is there something going on?
I'm more apt to think, and we've said this too. It's back to he came straight out of high school, and it's been everybody handed him everything he wants because he's the next Jordan.
Earl, we have simpatico on this. This is from having your butt rubbed and your balls cradled from the time you were 12 years old.
Right. You were the great. You were the king. You were the king. You're King James. You're King James, bitch. All of that shit. You're the man. You're the man. Don't take no shit from nobody. Here's $90 million. We're Nike. Wear our shit. And so he's got this all in his head that he's the shit and he can demand the world and everybody's going to listen to him. But now he's getting older and, the sun isn't setting by no means, but it's there. It's peaking.
He got a winning coach fired. I still don't understand that either. They had a winning record. I don't know, man.
Right, and it's just him. I think it's really him with all of these instances this year of him going and throwing a temper tantrum because not everybody is bowing to, quote, the king anymore.
You're 10.5 games up and you want help?
If you are a player on a team, I don't care if you're the star player. I don't care if you're the leagues that you play in, the face of the league, and you can get a coach with a winning record fired and everybody knows it. They don't even try to fucking dress it up as anything else. You are toxic. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, because it's all about you. Exactly. It is no longer about the team. It is about you.
And I'm having a real hard time believing that even though I brought it up basically playing devil's advocate if there's like a mental block in his head, that he can be so narcissistic and self-centered that he does something like that, but at the same time, he doesn't want to be the man on the team. He wants to share the spotlight. Unless, and this is tinfoil hat pulling this out of my ass, but I'm doing it with a pair of tweezers because it's covered in nasty shit when I pull it out my ass, unless the whole team came to him and said, LeBron, we need you to be our voice and get this coach out of here for whatever reason.
And I highly doubt that's how that shit went down.
That's why I said I'm pulling that out my ass with a tinfoil hat on.
But Rich, I'm with you there. I think that, sorry, Earl. I think that I want to share credit and it's all about me. Don't exist in your head at the same time. I don't think there's a human on earth that's wired like that. You're either one way or the other. But I think that's my opinion, I guess.
No, I think it is all about LeBron. And that's why I think LeBron went to Miami. Because Miami had D Wade, okay? They were bringing in Chris Bosh and then bringing in James. And to James, well, that's the big three, quote unquote, that you're wanting. So if we win, I'm good. If we lose, it was Bosch's fault. It was D Wade's fault. It wasn't me.
Oh, you think he wants the other guys to play scapegoat just in case?
Well, think about it. He's sitting 9.5 games up screaming, I need help. I can't do this all by myself. Just so he could get a big name like Melo and get rid of Love. You've got the big three in Cleveland right now. You got James, Kyrie Irving, and Love. That's the big three right there. And that's not good enough? And you're the defending fucking champions?
Is it just not the three he wants?
That's exactly my point. It's not the people he wants to play with. So he's going to throw a hissy fit, and everybody's looking at him like, dude, you're a defending champion. You're 9.5 games up. Yeah. To quote fucking Demolition Man, what is your boggle?
Yeah, you're defending champion, and you're the second best team in the league. Where's the disconnect here, King James?
Right. That's him going,
sitting, you're fine.
I want my best friend to come play with me. Sit down, you little bitch.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you sign up for Little League and your friends end up on the other teams. So the fuck what? You make millions of dollars to play a game that we all played for free.
See, and right there, Chris, right there, James is the type of kid that if that happened, he would make the other kids' parents move into his district. That's the shit I'm talking about. That's the type of guy he is. I want to play with my boy, so you guys have to move. Sell your house. I'll buy you a house here. Move. And now people are like, yeah, LeBron, we're not cool with that. And he's like, you're a racist. My fucking posse, you're racist.
All right, well, hold on a sec. And I hate to say it because I feel like I'm about to get dogpiled, but fuck it, I'm used to it. I've been doing podcasts with this network for 3 years now almost. I do think there's kind of an element of race to it as far as how the public perceives him, because Elway threw a shit fit when he was drafted and said, no, I'm not going to play for the team that drafted me. I'll go play baseball instead until he ended up in Denver. Eli Manning did the same thing. And here's we don't hear about this constantly about those guys. This isn't something that was constantly brought up in their career.
It was when it happened.
When it happened, and then when it was done and over with, is left in the past. Eli didn't win his first. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll say you could argue with both of those guys that once they got to the team they were drafted on, they stayed. They didn't play this. They didn't hop around like LeBron has done. They didn't make these crazy demands once they got on the teams like LeBron had. Trust me, I thought with Eli Manning, I thought that was a crazy bitch move.
And it's not a race thing either, though, Rich, because at the same time,
I'm not saying, okay, but I want you to understand what I'm saying before you dismiss what I'm saying. I'm not saying that race is the end all be all in the situation. What I'm saying is that it plays a factor in how he's perceived by the general public. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think so. Really, I don't.
Okay. I just want to make, but if you understand what I'm saying, then okay, then if you refute it, that's fine. I don't want to be misconstrued here, and then we end up arguing about something because neither of us understand what the other's saying. You know?
No, I do. But at the same time, again, my gold standard, Michael Jordan, there was a lot of players that were interchanged with Michael Jordan, and I have to believe that Mike had some say in it. If he liked to play with the guy, I'm sure he talked to the people, and they stayed, i.e. Pippen. But people like Bill Cartwright, Horace Grant, they all got swapped out. B.J. Armstrong, Paxton, swapped out. Came up Steve Kerr. You know what I'm saying? But none of that shit ever got broadcasted publicly. And that's where I'm telling you that I don't think it's race. LeBron comes out crying publicly. If Mike was crying, you never heard it. He did that shit in-house.
I also think, too, that I'm taking my talents to South Beach probably hurt his public perception more than perhaps race. Because that was unprecedented. That was, I still think that was excessive and unnecessary. And it's like, what, almost 10 years later?
But people who are
and he had to do a special about it?
But people who are going to tend to look at things through race-tinted glasses are going to look at that, let's be honest, and go, well, there you go. That's a perfect example of the problem with the black community. He can't just sign a free agent contract and go to the team. He's going to have an hour-long special and fireworks and come out with, and say maybe. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, and all that shit. He can't just have a press conference, sit down and say I've signed with the Heat.
Right, Rich. But if you're going to talk about that, well then, people that are going to be racist are going to be racist no matter what. That's people that looked at Michael Jordan and said, "Oh, well, then he's just winning because he's black." So if they're going to be racist, they're racist. That's just people. Me particularly, and people like me that see LeBron the way I see LeBron, it's because of his actions. It has nothing to do with his race. Like I said, with Mike, that shit was handled in-house behind closed doors. With LeBron, he comes out and cries to everybody. Puts his team on blast, and you're 9.5 fucking games up, dude. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with he's black.
I do agree with you on that wholeheartedly. He is hypersensitive to criticism, be it constructive or just everyday criticism, from people who are reporters, talking heads, etc., whatever.
Yeah, look at the Charles Barkley situation.
Exactly.
That was that. Can we call that butthurt gate? Because that's pretty much what it was.
So what is that? Black on black there? And that's what I'm telling you, bro. It's not race. I honestly really don't think race plays a factor. It's only way race plays a factor is with those people that race plays a factor in their everyday lives. With people that see LeBron, they see him this way because of his actions, be it white or black.
Yeah, it's a dead horse I beat constantly, and it's more rug I'm wearing down. At least 2 cliches there. Look at when he was born, man. I really think his attitude, that entitlement comes across, man. It's part of his age group. And
the way he was raised to believe he's exactly. The king.
Yeah, add in the fact that he's been having his ass kissed since he was in middle school. I mean, and this is what you get.
And I can put to you that Steph Curry is every bit as good as LeBron James. He might not be dunk like LeBron. He might not run up and down like LeBron, but he could shoot. He could carry a team. Man has talent, but he's extremely humble about it.
Yeah, he could talk to the media. He cannot be a dick. He doesn't put his teammates on blast. Steph Curry knows that half of it's your game and the other half is your public image. And you want to get into that argument? I mean, we talked about it last podcast. T.O. You know, once I looked at the numbers, I agree with you guys. Shit, he's number 2 all time. Damn right he should be in. But when you look,
in a hurry,
made the point. When you look at how he treated the media, I mean, that's a guy who didn't get, like, it's a 2-prong attack when you're in sports, man. You know, I mean, I bet you Marshawn Lynch ain't going to be a first ballot either. The way he treated the media.
I think okay. Once again, I'm out on an island by myself. There's Revis Island and there's Rich Island, apparently. Well, there used to be Revis Island. It's more like Revis continent North America these days. Everyone's on that shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, when it comes to guys like Marshawn Lynch, if you look at his background, where he came from, that man has a very good reason to not trust as easily as other people do. He puts up walls, he's not putting up walls at reporters. He's putting up walls to keep people out that he doesn't trust. And there's a difference. There's a difference between being aggressively defensive and just, I don't want to say turtling because that comes with a negative connotation, but it's the best word I can think of at the moment. Turtling and going within your shell. Because let's be honest, reporters, especially once you get to the playoffs and you're in the NFL and you're a guy like Marshawn Lynch, who is just, I mean, the Skittle spot that we had in the group chat, the Conan O'Brien things, that should tell you that he's the type of guy that doesn't know how to turn on. That's him. He doesn't know how to play the game. And he knows, he's smart enough and self-aware enough to know that there's going to be reporters that are going to look for any weakness and probe at him. And if he gives them anything and they run with it and it comes back on him, he's the one that did it to himself. So that's how come I look at a guy like Marshawn Lynch, and I respect him for when he was up there and they said, you have to talk to the fucking reporters. And they were asking him questions, and he's like, I'm just not about that talk. I'm here to win the game. That's right. What do you... Really?
Dude, I agree with you, but I'm just... Since we're all assholes now, the thing is I guess my Johnny sports fan who's 6 pops deep, he don't know that. He doesn't see that. He just sees a guy who never talks to the media and goes, fuck him. You know, like, I guess what guys like that don't see is their unintended consequences. They don't come across as likable. And I guess that maybe that's kind of part of it.
But coming across as likable and hearing stories about he treats fans like shit are 2 separate things. And I've never heard a story about he treats people like shit that are his fans. I mean, you know, a guy, excuse me, who here in Detroit was worshipped in his time here in Detroit was Bob Probert. And reporters, even if you're not
fight Proby.
Even if you're not from Detroit, you probably heard the name Mitch Albom. Mitch Albom hates Bob Probert. The man is dead. He still hates Bob Probert. But Bob Probert, I've yet to hear stories of him being assholes to fans that came up to him and were like, Proby, oh my God, can I get a picture? And he'd go into the pose that he always went into. He'd go, put your fist up near my face, and he'd put his fist up near their face, and he'd smile and he'd take the picture. That was the Bob Probert pose. No matter where it was, whether it be at DRC when he was betting on the horses, whether it be at the bar. Now, if you step to him like an asshole, he'd clean your clock. But what the fuck is he supposed to do? I mean, his reputation was built on being a tough guy. So if someone steps to him and starts a physical altercation and they start with the SH, he's going to come with the IT, and it's going to be, it's it. It's over. You're fucking with Bob Probert. This motherfucker trained at Cronc's gym. You're a fat slob from the suburbs. What the fuck do you think you're going to do?
I have to apologize to the podcast listeners. Rich is like Madden with Favre. Like Rich is with Probert. He'll turn any conversation into Bob Probert. We're talking about LeBron James, and he's so that's like, Bob Probert.
No, but I mean, as far as treating the media in one way and treating the fans in another, I've never heard Marshawn Lynch treat his fans bad. And to lump him in with someone like, getting back to the discussion, over here on the telestrator, of LeBron, I don't really hear of good or bad things about LeBron with his fans. I don't think he has much interaction with them. I think he lives in a bubble, which might also be part of his problem, because when you live in a bubble inside of an echo chamber, surrounded by people who never challenge your point of view, you can end up being in the mindset that he's in, to where I'm going to go to the media and talk about this team needs another star. I'm getting old, and I want this coach fired. I mean, maybe I'm just trying to rationalize his behavior, because I don't understand it.
You can't.
Derek Jeter would never do that.
No, neither would Michael Jordan. That's my whole point. He was built as the next Mike. He is the kid straight out of high school that is, quote unquote, the king, the shit, the end all be all. Yes. Screw Kobe Bryant. Screw everybody. This is the kid.
If you want to look at it that way, could you picture Wayne Gretzky doing that?
No.
Okay, can't picture Michael Jordan doing it. All right, who would you say? Can you picture Tom Brady doing that?
Absolutely not.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. These are the people who, at least in our lifetime, are considered the greatest at their sport, or at least are in the discussion. And maybe you're wearing on me, Earl. The more we talk about this man and the way he goes about shit, the more I'm agreeing with you. The more I'm like, he's no Jordan. He's no Jordan. For Jordan, with all his faults, he knew how to he was like, my job is to go out there and do what I do on the hardwood. What happens in the locker room stays in the locker room. What happens with me and the GM stays in his office. What happens with me and the head coach stays in his office. It's none of y'all's business. Wait 20 years, watch the 30 for 30, and read the books when people start fucking getting hard up for money, if you want to know what happened. But right now, it's none of your business.
And all the same, I liked James when he first came in. I liked him. I was like, wow, this kid's got something. But then he believed his own hype and just turned it into what we see today. So I'm not coming out going, I'm I'm jealous that he's got all this. No, I liked him. I was ready for it. I was like, all right, kid, bring it to the NBA. Let's do this. And then he did all this shit. And I'm like, every day it seems like that kid's in the news saying or doing something about his team, his coach, his owner, his GM, something. This commentator, that reporter, I'm like, good Lord, shut up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering when someone in the locker room can tell him to fuck off, because and I know we're coming back to that, but how many times? I mean, when you go back to 2015, where you got the coach fired, to now, I mean, just how many more times can he pull some crazy shit in the locker room, whether it's getting the coach fired or talking shit about his team or just popping off in general about, I need help? Where's the line with his teammates?
Well, let's play a little game real quick. There used to be an old Marvel comic book called What If, and they would throw out crazy scenarios and they'd make a whole comic book about it. What if that locker room isn't as peaceful as fucking we're being led to believe? And someone steps to him, and an altercation breaks out. Okay, obviously he's going to go into James's handlers and everybody is going to go into spin mode and, try to minimize the damage as much as possible. But I mean, if that locker room, as well as they're doing, they come to blows at some point or damn close to it, and it gets out, because it seems like nothing can be kept in that locker room. Nothing's a secret. It's the opposite of Vegas. Everything that happens in the Cleveland Cavs locker room is everybody's business. So, I mean, what if that happens? What do you do if you're the general manager looking at this fucking wreck of a team you got and the chemistry is all fucked up? What do you do?
I think we all know the answer to that, right? I mean, there's so much money sunk into him and all that, and he's King Dick, big swinging dick in the room. They probably ship off the person that stepped to him, because it's just it's like I said, we're all assholes now. We are in the squeaky wheel. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, America now.
And at the same time, you're talking about the defending NBA champions who are up 9 games in their division. Come on. I mean, as a coach, as a GM, I think I hold them just as much as accountable as I do LeBron. Somebody needs to put a cork in his fucking mouth. But it ain't going to happen because he's the big-time player. He's the man. He's the superstar. He's the king.
So ultimately, they're going to go with whoever they've invested the most money in. Rich,
they fired a winning coach. What do you think?
Coach is one thing. If him and...
It's the coach, brother.
Listen to me. Still playing the what-if game. If he does get Melo, and him and Melo come to blows in that locker room, bye-bye Melo.
Yeah, what do you do then? But then at the same time, you go to LeBron. We gave you your boy. You can't get along. What do we do now?
I mean, let's not forget, Melo's got an ego on him, too.
I should say, somebody sit his ass down, put a cork in him, sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog. Good.
What do they do if LeBron has the attitude of, oh, I thought this toy was going to be cooler than it was. I don't want it anymore. With all the shit that's come out of his mouth this season, do you find that not plausible? Because I find 100%. It completely plausible.
Fuck the season, his career, especially his post-fucking Miami career.
Anyways, yeah. I can't. That's good for LeBron. Just so you guys know, Michigan State beat Ohio State in basketball.
Okay.
FYI. Well, I say that because
for you.
No, because I'm
always glad to hear Ohio State lost, but I just don't really care.
I could go on all night about LeBron, but I'm not. I want to ask you guys this because I know how I feel about it. Floyd Mayweather against McGregor.
Are you serious?
Yes, that fight is inches away from being done. I'm not kidding.
Well, the last I heard, Mayweather said
fuck out of him.
Mayweather said it's going to be it's a lot farther off than people think. Last time, literally a couple hours ago before we started the show.
It's on the 4-Letter Network, dude. I'm watching it as we speak.
What'd you say, Chris?
I said Mayweather would beat the fuck out of him.
You are stupid, sir. Are you serious? Mayweather better knock him out, because if it goes to the ground, Mayweather is done for.
It's a boxing match.
Yeah.
Oh, a boxing? A straight up, not an MMA match?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Mayweather will beat the fuck out of him. If it's not MMA,
yeah,
thanks to Floyd McGregor.
Yeah, I agree with you then. No, I thought they were getting into the octagon. Say, if that was the case, Mayweather's stupid, because he's never trained for that.
I think Mayweather's stupid anyway. McGregor has this. Mayweather's too old. Mayweather's claim to fame is that he can move and run. And
weren't they saying that shit about George Foreman in the early to mid 90s?
He is no George Foreman, sir.
I don't want your rocking chair. That video with him and George Jones? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let's be honest here. George Foreman was never fleet of foot. The thing with George Foreman is he threw these slow punches, and when you just see him throw a punch, you'd go, oh, whatever, that's a little motherfucker. The problem was when he connected, you would see the soul leave the motherfucker's body.
Yeah. Right. It's like he was hitting you with a 25 with a fucking burlap sack full of bricks.
Yeah, he might not have been, super quick, but if he gets a hold of you with one or two, night.
Right. And he is not him. Mayweather's claim to fame is he can dance and run and stick and move. That he's 40 years old.
Yeah, look at his record.
That's why he retired, Chris. Keep his record intact.
Well, I'll just say this. I had some interest in the fight when I thought it was going to be an MMA fight. I have no interest in the fight if it's a boxing match.
I have zero interest in this fight.
Like, if it was going to be an MMA match, I might have actually paid for the pay-per-view. Like, and I haven't paid for pay-per-view since the days when Tyson was like doing those microwave fights, knocking motherfuckers out in 25 seconds. And I just got tired of fucking paying money to see that shit. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll just wait for the highlight. It's only going to take 25 seconds. So yeah, boxing match between those two? No.
Yeah, if McGregor has to stay on his feet, good luck, buddy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think McGregor's a fucking mean, tough motherfucker. And I wouldn't want to see him pissed off at me coming down a dark alley in the middle of the night. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm not Floyd Mayweather.
We're not talking about if we can whoop his ass. We're talking about if Floyd Mayweather can whoop his ass.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not.
And Floyd I don't think he can. I think Floyd Mayweather fighting McGregor is the same thing as CM Punk going from the WWE to the Octagon. CM Punk got fucked up.
Okay, and I think we've covered this. WWE, they're great athletes, but ultimately they know before they walk in that ring who's going to win that fight and who's not. I mean, it's not every athlete that can go from wrestling to all-out fucking brawl combat and make that transition. And
Shamrock did it.
Or did Shamrock go from MMA to the WWE?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see what I'm saying? That's a little bit different. Man. It's a little bit different. Okay, if you come up wrestling and that's what you've trained your entire life, that is not the same training as you're going through if you're doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. If you're doing submission holds, if you're doing shit like that. I mean, it's not even the same as Roman Greco wrestling. The wrestling we watch, it has nothing to do with quote unquote classical style wrestling. I mean, if they did that in the WWE ring, everybody would be going, what are these fags doing to each other? Trying to fuck each other? Where's Goldust?
They're doing the tail of the tape, Mayweather and McGregor. Mayweather's 39, McGregor's 28, 49-0 versus 21-3. The reach is 72 for Mayweather and 74 for McGregor.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm falling on experience in this one. If it was an MMA fight, I'd call McGregor because you have X amount of years experience with MMA fighting and Mayweather has none. And I'm applying the same principle to if it's boxing. McGregor, you got no boxing experience. Mayweather has tons. Like I just don't see this ending well for Conor McGregor.
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, you know, I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan podcasts, and he talks about he was so happy once Ronda Rousey got her clock cleaned multiple times because he's like, people were pumping her up to be something she wasn't. Her ground game, he's like, is one of the best. However, if she has to stay on her feet, she can't hang with the best.
Well, isn't it mixed martial arts and she only uses one?
That's what I'm getting at. These guys train in multiple disciplines. You know, boxing is a discipline. If it was a MMA match, all Mayweather's ever trained in is boxing. If McGregor could reach into his bag of tricks and pull out anything, he would destroy Mayweather because it's not even the same type of fight. It's the difference between talking about fighting on your feet and rolling around on the ground and someone getting you in a submission hold. And you've never been put in one before. I mean, you ever been put in an arm bar? Let me tell you something. You tap out real quick if you don't want to fucking lose, you know, a couple ligaments there or have to go into surgery. That shit is no joke. If you've never been choked out, you don't know what the fuck that's like. You think you're dying the first time that shit happens. Right? Mayweather ain't never fucking fucked with that. Now, if it is a flat-out boxing match, of course he's got the advantage. And why McGregor would do that, it has to be for a payday and ego. Because he has to know deep down he can't win that match.
Well, yeah, but McGregor ain't making shit in the MMA in the octagon. Well, why would he not do it?
And, I mean, in 10, 15 years...
Well, isn't that his own fault, though? Hasn't he pissed off Dana White a few times?
Well, I mean, there's an argument to be made in 10, 15 years. The paydays you see for major boxing matches are going to be the paydays. They're going to slowly move over to MMA because, let's be honest, when's the last time anybody in this country gave a fuck about the heavyweight champion in boxing?
20, 25 Tyson. Years ago? Yeah.
And once you get out of the heavyweight division, you start losing fans. Unless you're a fan of the sweet science. Most people who are casual fans don't want to sit there and watch two guys beat the shit out of each other for 12 rounds. They want to see the knockouts. They want to see two fucking beast specimens, Nazi genetic experiments beating the shit out of each other in a ring. That's what they want to see. They want to see the Ali pitcher standing over the guy talking shit. They don't want to see a well fought and technically executed 12 to 15 rounds, or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even fucking know, because I'm just a casual fan. If it ain't heavyweight fights, I really don't give a shit. But I do know enough about Mayweather to know he'd whoop the shit out of that Irish boy if it's a stand-up fight. I mean, come the fuck out, man.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you. And I'm just flashing back to Coming to America. If he loses, Joe Louis was 103. Floyd Mayweather was 95. I ran into Frank Sinatra. He said Floyd Mayweather was 148.
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather was 55 years old when he fought Conor McGregor.
Keeps getting older every time you tell the story.
I don't know, if you're talking about movies, it'd be like the Great White Hype, wouldn't it be?
That's what I'm saying. That's the other thing. I've been so fucking poisoned by that movie that I just keep flashing back to Damon Wayans sitting there eating ice cream, watching fucking daytime soap operas, going, my blackness will beat that white boy. I could beat my meat and his ass at the same time.
Well, there it is.
Yup. Damn, champ, you come up like 7-up. We reap what we sow. It's kind of like close cover before striking. Yes, yeah. That's a great movie. By the way, if anybody listening has never seen it, go rent The Great White Hype. Fucking hilarious movie. And you're going to be surprised how many fucking stars are in it. I'm just going to say that right now.
So many stars.
Jamie
Is that
Foxx.
the movie?
You ain't my daddy.
Morrison
Don't tell me
in?
what to do. Oh, are you? No, that was Rocky 5, dude. That was Go for it. Oh God, that was such a horror. See, that's what I agree with Eddie Murphy. White people get too much of their boxing knowledge from the movie Rocky. And it's just it's like they watch a Rocky movie and they get pumped up. Oh, you go Rocco, and all that bullshit. It's just, those aren't real fights, man. Talk to anybody who's ever stepped in a ring more than a few times, and they're going to tell you, you would die if you walked into a fucking fight and tried to fight like they do in the Rocky movies. I mean, it's fantasy, dude. It's fantasy fulfillment for little short Italian guys. Driving their IROC Z's and shit.
Apollo Creed tried that shit and died. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, God. I'm sorry, dude. Anytime you have a whole movie whose soundtrack is done by Survivor, I have to question whether I really need to watch that movie ever again. Just saying.
I'm with you there, sir. So, should we talk? It's your guys' domain. You want to talk about Julien getting signed with Montreal real quick?
I was stunned. What about you?
Who the fuck saw that coming? Nobody.
I mean, I know enough. I don't know much about hockey, but I know enough to know that that's a power move, right? I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
That was huge.
Yes. I mean, as much as...
Aren't the Canadiens the best team in the league right now? Or was that earlier in the season?
They've hit a slump, but you have to remember that the Canadiens, as far as the old school NHL goes, are the New York Yankees of the NHL. They just haven't won in a long time. They haven't won since '93.
Oh yeah, but if you go back to the beginning of the NHL and you look at Stanley Cup champions, it's like Canadiens. It's yes. I know that much.
And the Canadiens are a unique franchise that they got one foot firmly grounded in the French Canadian side, and they got one foot firmly grounded in the English speaking Canadian side. And Michel Therrien was, the coach who got fired. That's one of the things he brought up in an interview that, ironically, I watched not that long, a couple weeks ago, where he was talking about he feels it's one of the best places to be a coach in the NHL. 1, because of the history. 2, because of the tradition. And 3, because you really get to know all aspects of the NHL hockey fan. And to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about why he's out and Julian's in. I just know the minute that Earl sent that and I saw it is when I found out myself. I was at work earlier today. I didn't have a chance to do any, much deep research, but it seems to me that they're making a move. This has got to be a move for the future. This is not a move for this season. I mean, maybe it'll end up like the 2008, 2009 Pens where Michel Therrien got fired in the middle of the season and then the Pens went on to win the fucking cup later in the year. Maybe it'll be that type of thing here, but it seems like this is building for, because Bergeron's their GM and in Montreal, and it seems to me he's building for a future, and he wants kind of what the Red Wings have had. He wants
the decades. Former player?
Yeah. He wants decades of, being an elite club instead of just being, having spikes and valleys, So I don't know. I don't know why this happened. I really thought, I thought Julian was going to end up in fucking Vegas. I really thought that. In fact,
I did too. I was stunned.
At work today, I was talking with the hardcore hockey fans, and we all agreed and said the same thing. And we're like, anybody see that coming? And like, no. And even before we knew he had been hired as the Canadiens head coach, we were all sitting there talking about, out of all the available teams he could go to, Vegas was being probably the one he would. So it blew the wheels off my cart. That's, needless to say right there. I didn't see this coming. We just spent, 20 minutes talking about it last episode.
Yep. Not
at one point did any of us bring up Montreal as a destination for him, especially in the middle of the fucking season.
Especially with how well they were doing. That's kind of a Cleveland Cavalier move. Fire a winning coach.
Well, I mean,
I'm with Rich.
But they didn't downgrade, though.
Maybe they see it's a better move for their future. I mean, that's because, like I said, I am the casualist of casual hockey fans. I saw that today, and I went, "Whoa, that's fucking all right." The rest of the NHL taking a page from the Trump administration. You're on notice. Yeah. Part of me was hoping he'd end up in Detroit because I've been reading articles about it's time for what's his name, Bashir, to move on.
Detroit is. I mean, what Dave? Oh boy, drew a huge blank, and I can't believe I did it. Major Mustache, who took over for Bowman after Bowman retired here in Detroit.
Dave. What the fuck was that guy's name?
That's what I'm saying.
Dave Lewis.
Thank you. He had a very short leash, and then they brought in Babcock, and Babcock, I think, is kind of like type of coach who's kind of like Jesus in khakis out there in Ann Arbor. He can wear out a welcome real quick. I mean, as much as he's seen as an awesome hockey mind, which he is, he also can wear on players' nerves and lose them.
Do you mention Jesus khakis? Did you hear what he did? He has a recruit that he was recruiting, and he hired the kid's father as his assistant coach.
Uh-oh.
It's totally legal.
Okay, I was going to say, is this one of them Belichick? I'm not breaking the rules, but I'm straddling them.
Yep, that's exactly what he did. That's like holding satellite camps in Florida, shit like that. Pisses everybody off.
Really? Conflict of interest doesn't show up there?
No, because his father was a very well established coach. He coached in the NFL, coached in college. Yeah.
By the way, I just have to say, were you trying to ooh us with that?
I was trying.
That's the weakest ooh I've ever heard.
It goes ooh, but anyway, it's. But I'm gonna play this card, Earl. I guess conflict of interest could come in. What if this guy sucks? It doesn't make the team. Now, granted, if you're being recruited, you probably don't suck. But what if on the off chance this guy isn't good enough to make the team, but still makes it? Dude, we're in the. I've said it 4 times this podcast. Say it again. We are in the new butthurt America. All right, you don't see somebody. You don't see this, even if he is good enough to make the team, probably will. You don't see someone coming out after they getting cut, going, well, this is a bunch of bullshit. His dad's a coach. Of course he's going to make the team. You don't see that coming down the pipe?
I don't know if it would or wouldn't. At the same time, you guys could read up on it. I think he coached with Harbaugh in the 49ers.
The reason it's called show prep is you tell us before the show, not during the recording of. So read up on it. Do we want to take a fucking break and come back in 20 minutes? No, Swami, tell us.
I'm not debating whether or not he has the credentials. I'm just saying in our new butthurt America, I could totally see some kid who was told he was going to get recruited and got out hustled and didn't make the team coming back and making a whole media circus out of this. Well, this kid made the team and I had better times than him at this, but his dad's a coach. So you know how that guy, dude, it's.
Oh, I see it.
Blame 2016 for my mindset. All right. Cause that's how
I see it. It's just, yeah.
I'm right there. And I see a rule change coming down the line here. And as much as it pains me to say this, I like the fact that Harbaugh will pull shit like this, kind of wave his dick in the face of the rule book and go, when I break the rule, you can do something about it. But I also see it as it's exploitive. I mean, this is what Belichick is hated for in a lot of circles in the NFL. But I mean, on the flip side, you can go, I guess the other coaches should have done their homework and found the loopholes to exploit the rules just like Belichick did, because they've been sitting there forever until the rules didn't get changed until he did it. Anyone else could have done it before him. He's just the first one to fucking do it.
Yeah, but I guess too, there's also a delicate balance between going right up to that line and not crossing it, and then just flaunting it. And I think that might be where Belichick gets himself in some hot water, and maybe even out to a certain point after a couple seasons, Jim Harbaugh. It's gone from I'm not breaking any rules to I guess they're maybe, I don't want to say smug because it doesn't seem like they're smug about it, but like flaunting it. Like, hey, still here, still breaking the rules. We going to do anything about this soon? All right, I'm going to keep going till you tell me not to.
Well, I know that most Michigan fans, I don't know. I would think most Michigan fans would disagree with what I'm about to say, but the shiny newness of Harbaugh has wore off. Okay, it's been 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Except for a clusterfuck of a fluke of a play, he would have had 2 wins against Michigan State. But the bottom line is he doesn't have them, and he has no wins against Ohio State, and he hasn't done shit as far as the college playoff system. Year 3 is shit or get off the pot time.
Yeah.
All right. And
it's been for the 2 coaches prior to him.
If there isn't decisive wins over Michigan State, or if there isn't a decisive win over Michigan State, a win over Ohio State, and some progress in the playoff system, even just to make it would be progress. But you have to, I mean, it's kind of like how I feel about the Bucks. This year they got to make the playoffs for it to be a productive season. If they win, that's just gravy on the potatoes, right? But they can't go in and get blown out. If you want to be a player in the national scene, you got to play with the big boys, and the big boys are not coming out of the Big Ten. Ohio State has shown that there are chinks in the armor. Michigan State, they're on shaky ground. I'm not going to say they've fallen down a notch.
They're young.
But yeah, they're on shaky ground, and it could go either way. Losses affect teams and programs differently. Some teams rise to the challenge. Some teams get shook by it. It's just all there is to it. If I had to put money on it, I'd say that Marky Mark ain't gonna let that happen. He's gonna pull that fucking team together in that locker room no matter what.
Yeah, I see last year as an aberration. I see the exception to the rule. I don't think a culture that you spent a decade cultivating will just evaporate in a year.
However, Harbaugh doing shit like he's doing is playing with fire, and he's standing in a pool of kerosene while he's doing it. And
Michael Johnson's the guy I'm talking about, just so you know.
My patience is wearing thin, because the more he does this, the more he's looked at, because he's not, if he was as low-key about it as Belichick is, it'd be one thing. But Harbaugh likes the spotlight. whether he'll ever admit that or not. Harbaugh likes it. That's why he strips his shirt off and throws the ball around when the fucking press is out there and, does interviews and takes him to all the places he grew up in Ann Arbor and talks about what Bo used to tell him and all this shit. He likes all that attention. All right. And that's okay. But there's plenty of coaches who like the attention who never did anything with it. And right now, let's be honest here. It's exactly who I was thinking of, Earl. It's funny you should say that. In football, I was thinking Rex Ryan. But, I mean, right now, what national championship has Harbaugh won? What Super Bowl has Harbaugh won? Nothing.
How bad is it that he got beat by his brother? That's terrible.
Yeah, but it's bittersweet.
Awesome holidays.
It's bittersweet.
My twin brother beat me.
More awkward holidays in the Manning household until last year.
I'm just saying, it's bittersweet, though, because you want your brother to succeed, but you don't want him to succeed at your cost. I mean, if my little brother, for whatever reason, started a sports podcast, I'd want it to do well, but I wouldn't want our listeners to start listening to his. Yeah. So,
there you go, Rich just made my argument when you asked me about Venus versus Serena. Do you think if they were rooting for each other? Absolutely not. Like I said, I have a sister. Rich has got a brother. I was like, Earl, you sound like someone who does not have a sibling.
Because I have 9 of them.
He does.
Really? Damn.
Yeah, they didn't have cable back in the day. He's the youngest, by the way.
Yeah, but no, it's just, well, it's family. You're always rooting for family, but I mean, when it gets down to sibling against sibling, man, I mean, there's just, once again, we're back to something innate, at least in men, where it's like, I love you, but I must crush you.
Well, yeah, that's why the whole little brother remark stung from Mike Hart, because it's the truth. If you're the older brother, every once in a while, your little brother gets the best of you, and you let him, run around with that feeling for a second, and then the next time you come out, if you were pulling any punches, you're not now. In fact, you're adding a little bit, more mustard on the punch. And then when you put him down, you just kind of look at him and go, would you look at that? And just kind of step over him and go on about your day. So.
I just saw this on the telly. This is going to make Rich do the pouty face. Did you know
what country are you in? The telly? Really?
Yeah. Did you know that Sidney Crosby has 1 point to go before he reaches 1,000 points?
Yeah, and Ovechkin's already done it. Andy's not a pussy, so yeah. Congratulations. I guess when the entire league has to, slant the rules in your favor, you can succeed. Yeah.
Are you calling Sidney Crosby LeBron James of the NHL?
Yes.
I'm just saying it would not have shocked me if Trump had said grab him by the Crosby instead of pussy.
Oh God.
Shots fired.
I mean, look, he's a very talented player, but he's a punk. He's a bitch. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Even Gretzky would stand up for himself when when Crosby stands up for himself, people are like, "Oh, look at it, he's doing it." And it's like, no, do you know how many of his teammates he's made fight because he would go instigate shit and then run and hide behind somebody? Gretzky never did that. The rule was you don't touch Gretzky. And if you did, that's what McSorley was there for. That's what
that was your ass too.
But you know what I'm saying. That's what those guys were there for. Gretzky wasn't going around instigating shit and then skating off.
That's what Probert was for. You do not touch Stevie Y. You just don't do it.
It's not going to be healthy for you, because if you get through Probert, now you got Kosar's crazy ass to deal with.
It's all over.
And that motherfucker would crack people's helmets with punches. Okay, so I mean, Crosby's just a bitch, man. He's a punk. I don't know what else to say. He wants to be a Barnaby type player when he thinks he can get away with it, but he won't back it up. People say Steve Ott is a bitch and a pussy, and Otter does have a little bit of a bitch in him. I'll admit that. But the thing is, Ott will stand up for himself after he starts the shit. Once he gets to a certain point, he realizes, oh shit, And here's the thing. He doesn't go, oh, shit, I better do something. He realizes that he's pushing it to that point. Crosby pushes it to that point and goes, oh, shit, I better skate the fuck away. Well, where are you going, bitch? You know what I'm saying? Don't start with no foreplay if you don't want to fucking feel my titties. Come here. You know, I got something for that ass. Come here. I'm going to run them cheeks, bitch. Come here. You know, I mean, what is that? Remember that cartoon, Hanna-Barbera cartoon, where it was the big bulldog and the little dog hopping around? That's Crosby. That's Crosby. We're going to get him.
What are we doing today, Spike? Come on, Spike.
We're going to get him, Spike. We're going to get him, Spike. Yeah. It's exactly it. So, whatever. I mean, God, if for whatever ungodly reason he ends up on the Red Wings at some point, can't.
Hey, Chelios ended up a wing. So
exactly. Chelios flat out said one team he would never play for when he was on Chicago was Detroit, and he ended up in Detroit.
And there is such bad blood, as I do the Beer Nuts podcast Saturdays here at ChristopherMedia.net. One of the guys I do the show with, he's born and raised south side of Chicago. Dude, get him going on Chelios, man. He is not kind. He straight up calls him a sellout bitch. You know, you sold your soul. I'm like, yeah, he got a couple cups out of it, so did he really sell his soul?
I was just saying.
Here's the thing. For as much as Chelios was loved in Chicago, when he came to Detroit, I think he knew that he had pretty much burned that bridge. He didn't burn it. He nuked that motherfucker.
Yeah. He poured the gas on it himself.
He made damn sure outside of his family and close friends in Chicago, because that was the only people that were going to love him, that he made himself beloved in Detroit. And he did.
Yeah, but the whole Chicago Blackhawks organization blew out. It wasn't just Chris Chelios.
Yeah, but I remember when I was a kid, though, man. I mean, he was fucking like public enemy number one when the Wings played the Hawks. When he got signed to Detroit, that was huge. That was fucking huge.
Chelios was like a Darian Hatcher, Keith Tkachuk, Rick Tocchet, those type of players.
Damn, just old school.
If they played for your team, you loved them. And if they played for a team that wasn't yours, you loved to hate them. I mean, it's really what it came down to. Because I remember sitting in Andy Flayton's basement watching Chicago and Detroit play each other. And someone, I can't remember who it was, because there was like 10 of us down there around that fucking little 19-inch TV he had watching the game. And someone said, what would you do if Chelios ended up a Red Wing? And we all laughed our ass off and said, that's never going to happen. This is 1995. I remember clear as day. Or excuse me, 96. So not clear as day. Clear as a foggy day. And we were like, oh, that's never going to happen. Come the fuck on, man. Chelios on the Red Wings.
Yeah, because I said that Belfour would have to come then.
Yeah, exactly. And we laughed our asses off at it. But here's the truth. When he came to Detroit, we loved his ass. We loved him. And you don't think Dallas hated Belfour when he was in Chicago? When Belfour's ass ended up in Dallas, oh, they loved his ass. So come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we do the same with Hasek? I mean, Hasek wasn't in. He was in the East, and we were in the West at that point. It was just Hasek is so aloof.
Buffalo.
Yeah, he was so aloof, and he's such a strange guy. I think we looked at him like, that's a strange motherfucker.
I didn't like Hasek when he played for the Wings.
But damn, he can 10 goal.
Oh, see?
Yeah. You gonna tell me Hasek's not one of the best goaltenders ever?
No, hell no.
You're on fucking drugs.
No,
man.
that motherfucker, every time a puck was shot at him.
Look at your couch. Is it trying to eat you?
Shut up.
All right, I'm just making sure.
Every time a puck was shot at that motherfucker, he tried to do a backflip to save it. It was a simple puck fucking blocker save.
And he did. He was. If you want to put it in pissy terms, he had an awkward style. If you want to put it in polite terms, he had a unique style. It's the difference between crazy and eccentric. Poor people are crazy. Rich people are eccentric. He was successful, so he had an awkward style. That's it. Or excuse me, a unique style.
Okay, I can't argue. He won. Good guy. Great. Moving on. No, I don't like him.
Well, don't like him. I'm right there with you, man. So I feel about Patrick Waugh. I mean, if you want to get right down to it, that's how I felt about fucking Cujo, you know. But when he came here, I thought he got a raw deal in Detroit. he did everything he could fucking do. He just didn't have the team in front of him that Hasek and Osgood and Vernon had in front of him. What do you bottom line? Doesn't mean Cujo was a bad fucking goalie. Meanwhile, there's a hockey fan listening going, Cujo, who the fuck are they talking about? Curtis Joseph. I don't know who Cujo is.
Then you're not a hockey fan.
Exactly. What do you? Wrong podcast for you.
I could do this all day. Felix Cat.
Mm-hmm. The Bees are.
Yeah, but the Bees are right. But no, the entire Chicago Blackhawks team flaked out. Roenick went to Phoenix. Chelios went to Detroit. Belfour went to San Jose. Stopped off at Toronto for a minute, and then ended up in Dallas.
Yep.
Wasn't that just the front office blowing the team up, going, we've gone as far as we can with this group. Let's start over.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was bad ownership at that point. I mean, they sent Monte to Calgary. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, it was the 90s were a dark period for fucking Chicago Blackhawks. And what's ironic is they started that decade as cup contenders. Yeah. And
they went to the Cup versus the Penguins in what, 92?
Yeah. Yeah. And they ended it as pretty much the joke of that fucking division, And I think their biggest claim to fame in the last season of the decade was they were the last away team to play at Toronto's old home stadium before they tore it down. And just to prove that I can always bring it back to Probert, he scored the last goal there. But anyways,
thanks, Madden.
Anyways, there's. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, just say I remember being when I was a little kid, the early '90s. Man, you wanted Probert, Chelios. Oh, you went and got the popcorn. Like, it's going to take a minute.
Well, it's going to be good. If you look at it, there was a lot of when Grimson came to Detroit, Probert went to Chicago. All they did was exchange for enforcers. Now, the difference is that Probert could still score, and Grimson spent a whole season with the Red Wings and never got a fucking goal. So
I don't even think he was fed a pass.
I mean, he just whooped ass for the whole season.
And literally the only reason he was on the ice was to fight, yes.
Wasn't his nickname like the Grim Reaper or something like that?
Yes, sir.
Because all he fucking did?
Yes, sir.
Wow, apparently I was a bigger hockey fan when I was a kid.
Number two.
You know what though, Chris? It's not that. That was the day, and back to the 90s. As far as the 90s, I think you can do that. Me and Rich could sit here and name goalies, forwards, but we could also do it with football players and some baseball teams, whole teams. Today's sports, you can't do that. You can't name like great players, great matchups. That's why I asked you earlier today, what's the big thing with Martin and McQuaid? Why is that fight huge? Because that didn't resonate with me as two huge enforcers going at it. Back then, that would have been like, I guess, as what you were saying, Rich, is something like, Probert and Domi.
Well, yeah. I mean, Martin's considered a heavyweight. And, dude, 385 and 382 hits in a season is nothing to sneeze at. That motherfucker's throwing the body around recklessly. I mean, that's just that dude's a bowling ball out there. And he's 6'3", 220. I mean, so he's got the tail of the tape. He's in what would have been considered the heavyweight division back in the day. It's just the heavyweight division back in the day was producing, Stu Grimson, Bob Probert, Kosar, who was listed as 6'1", so that probably means he's actually 5'11", but the motherfucker hit like a fucking brick shit house. Scott
like
Parker,
a jackhammer, as he called it.
Yeah, Marty McSorley, Jeff Bukaboom. I mean, just players that you didn't want to. You did not. If you had to play them that day, you didn't get a good night's sleep the night before. Like, oh fuck, Jesus, am I going to have to fight this motherfucker?
Ice in your hands before the game and shit.
I mean, McSorley, excuse me, McCarty said it himself in his autobiography. He said, I never considered myself a heavyweight. I always considered myself a light heavyweight at best. He had a few stories about young and up and coming guys like Donald Brashear coming up to him, or going up to Probert and saying, "Let's go, Proby," and Proby was like, "Oh, please, you got to go through DMAC first. Get the fuck out of my face. You better skate away, boy." like shit. You better fight McCarty first and see if you can even fucking. You don't want this. You don't want this.
Like they said about, the son's first fight, you don't want to fight the father. You don't want to go. D.L. Hewley said that. You don't want me as your first fight. Shit, you want to take some warm-ups.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just, the reason it was a big fight, I'm guessing, as an isolated hockey fan, because I don't have hockey fans surrounding me who are all about the league, and so I can talk about hockey, all the time. Is because Martin got his bell rung, dude. He got taken off his feet.
Bad. And he got right crossed huge by McQuaid.
So, I mean, like I said, rematch, motherfucker. That was what made Probert and Domi. That's what made Domi, is that initial fight at the beginning of the season with Probert and the rematch at the end of the season.
Yeah, Domi didn't want any part of the rematch, though.
Earl, man, I will give it up to you about it. Doesn't seem like you have any of that star power in the NHL anymore. Because I got a fantasy hockey team. I got a fantasy basketball team. Fantasy basketball team, I've heard of most of my team. I've heard of most of the people I've drafted onto my team. The only people I've heard of on my fantasy team are Patrick Kane and the Sedins. Everyone else, I'm like, who the fuck are these people? I've never heard of them before.
Right, but I mean, not just scorers.
Patrick Kane's technically old as fuck.
Right, well, so is Jaromir Jagr, but that fucker could still play.
Yeah.
But I mean, Rich and I could sit here all night and talk about enforcers, talk about the greatest goalies, the greatest scorers, the greatest defensemen. You can't do that in today's NHL because there isn't any. You can't, like this Martin and McQuaid thing. That used to be, one for every two teams. You knew that these two were going to fight. You knew that these goalies were going to have a save fest, and it was going to be a 1-0 or a 2-1 game. You knew this guy was going to get the puck with seconds left and try to send it into OT. Today's NHL just doesn't have that.
I can even argue the home team. If they weren't on the 08 team, I have no idea who's wearing a Red Wing sweater nowadays. It's been such a revolving cast as well. But still, I mean, if they're not from 08.
With Blashill having come up through the Griffins, he has brought up more of the youth movement. But I mean, ultimately, none of these guys are standout players. I mean, it's just Dylan Larkin is an excellent hockey player, but he's not mentioned in the same breath as, oh boy, wow, you guys are proving my point. I'm sitting here, I almost said Conor McGregor, but I know he ain't strapping on no fucking skates anytime soon. Oh shit,
this is out of Toronto, right?
Yeah, and then homeboy out of Edmonton, and I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like, right. Here's the deal: the younger hockey fans are sitting here going, "Well, it's because you're old and you're out of touch." No, these guys aren't the same as the players we grew up with. Do you understand? 100+ point seasons for guys like ICEman and Gretzky and Lemieux and Jagr was nothing to them. 100 points was a below average season. All right. Now the top scorer in the league is sitting somewhere around 60 points. We're past the fucking All-Star game. 60 points, guys. Top scorer. And take Gretzky out of the equation because he was a freak in nature. I understand that. We'll most likely never in our lifetime see again the likes of 200+ points coming from one person on the ice anymore. But it's just no one's capturing this is it in my mind. No one's capturing the imagination and making people go, holy shit, look at this guy. They pushed Crosby as that guy, and the people who really were really looking for a savior in the NHL bought into it early in his career. But ultimately, he's not it. It's kind of, yes, Crosby came in a few years after James did into the NBA, but they pushed James to be the new Michael Jordan, but he's never been the new Michael Jordan. There's only one Jordan. They pushed Crosby to be the new Gretzky, but there's only one Gretzky. And
right,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sporgy at ChristopherMedia.net. Attention, Chris. because I might take some shit from this comment. You could argue they've turned the NHL into the WNBA. Hey, look at all these great fundamentals. Yeah, it's great, but it ain't exciting. It's not fun to watch. There's no standouts.
I mean, as much as it irks me to agree with that, because you're talking about the NWA.
WNBA?
Or, yeah.
What I put it?
What did I say? NWA?
Ice Cube and shit up in this motherfucker.
You know what? I'd rather see Ice Cube, DJ Yella, MC Ren, all of them on the ice than half the fucking teams, guys on the ice I see.
Serious. Real talk, because that'd just be much more fun to watch and try to stand up.
But no, I gotta get. There's some validity to it.
Get a better fight out of it.
And listen. I know that the younger guys are sitting here because I'm members of Facebook groups, and I go to websites where it's the younger guys are running it, and it's the NHL. But this is, to me, part of the danger of these are all people who are part of I grew up with the internet. And for whatever reason, ironically, they have no sense of history. If it didn't happen in their lifetime, they don't care. I mean, it's kind of like, what Chris and I were going back and forth the other night about hip hop. If it's over 5 years old, it's considered dated and old school. And there's no sense of history in the art form. And in the NHL these days, it's like, we don't want to hear about that shit. The NHL, starting with the outdoor games on New Year's Day, started naming for their 100-year anniversary the best 100 players in the game, in the history of the game. Hardly anything's being made of it. When the NBA did the best 50 players, motherfuckers were shitting themselves over it and arguing over it. And
NFL does it every year. Top 100 players in the league.
Well, current players, yeah, but we're talking all time. But still, yes, even then, even the NFL doesn't even have to dip their toe into the all-time pond because they can just argue about the current players. That's what I'm getting at. And I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that a lot of these guys that I'm talking about, the younger fans, don't remember a time when you could turn on ESPN and watch a hockey game almost every night between ESPN and ESPN2, watch a hockey game on one of those two stations.
Well, moreover, though.
And it didn't have NHL Tonight growing up. That was done and over with by the time they started becoming fans.
Yeah, but
more argue that.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Earl, you tried to go. You go first.
Moreover, there were times, and many times of mine in your life, Rich, where we scheduled to watch certain games. And it didn't necessarily have to be Red Wings.
Chicago.
Right. It was, there's going to be a fight and we're not going to miss this. Like I was talking to Chris, there's going to be a save fest and this is going to be a fucking amazing game. There were goalie matchups that you wanted to see. There were fight matchups. There were this and that you would actually make time. You would know this game is on this day. We're doing nothing but this game.
Yep. I remember going over to your uncle's house and watching a Flyers-Rangers game.
Right.
Neither of us and none of our friends had any stake in either of those teams except for the fact that we just wanted to see that game because those were two teams that didn't like each other and were hot at the moment. I mean, as far as the standings. And yeah, it was going to be a battle. It was going to be a war on the ice.
These younger fans too, if you didn't grow up in an original Sick city, and I'd even say now New York's probably on the fence, hockey has been like the ugly stepchild of pro sports to you your whole life. You've never seen it on network TV. You've never seen it on ESPN. It's been something that you've had to hunt down. It's not as widely as accepted, or maybe it's not just being pushed as much as it was when we were kids.
Yeah, and a lot of that goes back to this horse isn't even dead. It's just dust and bones for me. A lot of that goes back to their GM, not the GM, the commissioner of the fucking league. And the fact that some owners love him and other owners tolerate him. And ultimately, when you look at Gary Bettman's record, what the fuck has he done for the league? It's dropped in popularity. He insists on trying to expand into areas that have no historical interest in hockey. And what interest they do have fades quickly unless a winning product is miraculously put in their lap, which I make this argument. Colorado wouldn't have been shit if the Red Wings hadn't lit up fucking Wah for fucking 9 goals to the point where when he finally got pulled, he walked right over to the owner and general manager of the Montreal Canadiens and said, "This was my last game ever wearing this jersey. Trade me." And they traded him to Colorado. Because before that, Colorado's fucking goaltender was Jocelyn Thibault, a nobody. They wouldn't have had that fucking cup run, the cup run they did, if it wasn't for Wah. So you can't say him moving the Nordiques from Quebec to Colorado was a good move, and he deserves credit for that. No. If it wasn't for Wah refusing to fucking play for Montreal anymore in that trade, Colorado would have been another Atlanta Thrashers. That's it. Bottom line.
Yeah, and, I beat this horse to death too. He's ignoring markets where hockey's probably a home run. No hockey team in Wisconsin. There's one hockey team in New England. But yeah, we got to put one in Phoenix that's hemorrhaging money. You have an expansion team going into hockey. Sure, hockey's super big in the desert, dipshit. Meanwhile, you can't tell me Green Bay or Milwaukee can support a hockey team. You can't tell me there can't be another hockey team in New England.
I have to say, Rich, it's Bettman because it's league wide. I can name 2 forwards that are 3 forwards that I could think are huge. And one of them's old as fuck. Ovechkin, Crosby, and Jagr. Mm-hmm. Jagr's 44 years old.
Yep.
And Ovechkin and Crosby ain't that young anymore either.
Nope. They're part of the old guard now.
And you were talking about how Wah at Colorado, but I was thinking at the same time, I can name fucking players on Colorado that helped him win.
But what I'm getting at is that they weren't winning in Quebec and they weren't winning in Colorado like they were until Wah got there.
No, I got you. But at the same time, what I'm saying is...
Oh, you could name players, yeah.
Right.
Forsberg, Sakic.
And Hurd. Ricci. Oh, damn, yeah, Ricci.
Huey Krupp,
Oh, God, Huey Krupp, that defenseman, number 5. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. I remember his number. He came and played for the Wings, too.
Yeah, that was a clusterfuck.
I know it was.
But
Claude Lemieux.
Yeah, well, and he came from Jersey the year before.
Number 22. I only know that because McCarty held it up.
But it's a sad state of affairs, and something that I've just had to learn in the last couple hockey seasons since I've been doing this show is it just doesn't hold my interest like it did back then. And a lot of people would say, well, that's because you're older and all your heroes aren't in the game anymore. There might be something to that. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not the determining factor why it doesn't hold my interest. I put a game on these days, and I'm like, all right.
It's not fun to watch.
It's background thing. I pay attention when, if you've watched hockey, you know that there's a certain style to the announcers, and when their voice goes into that, and it's skating up, and you can hear the tension build in your voice, that's when I start paying attention. And the irony is that they bitch and complain that the 90s brand of hockey was boring to watch because of the neutral zone trap and the left wing lock. And they say that the 80s brand of hockey, they can't play anymore, but that was a wide open end-to-end game that you would see compared to what they have nowadays. And they've removed all the clutching and grabbing, quote unquote, that slowed the game down in the 90s. And as they've implemented all these rules to supposedly open the game up, scoring has went down.
It's boring. You could argue that the least exciting of the Red Wing Cup winners was 2008, as far as to watch.
Definitely.
It's not. I mean, I guess if you're a hockey purist, love of the game, I mean, I guess it could be fun to watch as far as from a finesse standpoint. From guys being masters of their craft, but I mean, let's be real here, guys. One of the reasons we watch sports is for excitement. All right, there's a reason the Detroit Shock folded. All right, there's a reason the WNBA don't have a network contract. It's not exciting to watch, and that's what's happened with hockey. So, Rich, you've at least let me know that it ain't me, it's the game. I thought it was just me maybe being a fair weather fan, but I mean, I'm hearing some corroboration, and the game ain't fun to watch anymore.
The problem is the people that think it's fun to watch now are gonna go. It's just get off my lawn, old people bitching.
But you make a point, Rich. Our heroes are no longer in the game, and that's true. And you're right. There is something to that. At the same time, give me another hero. Belfour didn't start out to be my hero when I first started watching hockey. He didn't. But I just loved his butterfly style. I loved the eagle on his helmet, and I loved the way he played. He was a no bullshit goaltender. If he could fuck with you, he would. So what if he racked you with his blocker?
Oh, you get a blocker to the back of the head in a heartbeat.
Yes, I'm saying. Give me some of that. I have none of that. I don't have a goalie that I could go, oh yeah, right there. Score on him, I dare you. Belfour saved 51 pucks one game, 51 shots, and still lost the game because there was 52 shots taken. That is just awesome in any stretch of anybody's imagination. Nobody in today's league can do that. Even when we talk NASCAR, it's boring. You go straight, you turn left, you go straight, you turn left. Even people that think it's boring watch specific races. I talked about this last podcast, the Daytona 500. You're going to watch it. It's the Super Bowl of racing. They have it at the beginning of the season. I don't know why, but they do. The Brickyard, you're going to watch that. Talladega, you're going to watch that because you know that there's going to be so big fucking wrecks. Has NASCAR changed the rules and made it more safe? Absolutely have. Put barriers in, put the halos on, restrictor plates, a whole bunch of things. But people still watch because there's going to be wrecks. And they know which races are going to be tough to win, which races are going to be exciting to watch, and that's the one they watch. There's no exciting game in NHL. It's
like, get off. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to change subject, so go ahead and finish your thought.
Well, it's just, it's like right now, if you say the Penguins lost, you don't go, well, what happened to Crosby? What happened to Malkin? You go, oh, okay. And you turn the page. It's just, there's no shock factor. There's no awe factor. There's just pretty much not a factor to me.
Yeah, well, that pretty much sums up, I think, how all three of us feel about the topic. One last thing as we're rounding the home stretch here. I can't believe none of us have brought this up before now. Kevin Durant's return and playing against OKC.
Yep. Saw it.
What the fuck was that about? First, can you explain the cupcake thing to me? Why people were wearing cupcake shirts?
People being bitches.
It's like
look at where they're located, Rich. You might have a little bit of the "Make America Great Again" attitude with that cupcake thing.
Well, is that what they were trying to call him? Because by the end of the game, his teammates were wearing Durant's teammates were wearing the shirts.
Oh, they reappropriate it?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did.
They were kind of like cupcake what, And I mean,
man, I don't begrudge Kevin Durant for doing what he did. All right, I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about King.
Oh.
Yeah, I look at it this way.
God damn it! Sorry about that.
Okay.
I said I wanted to bring it up when we were talking about King James. Kevin Durant only really got shit from people in Oklahoma City. All right, he didn't get shit from everybody else because he didn't fucking do it in a grandiose manner. He didn't have a half-hour special. He didn't be like, this is some bullshit. I want to go to a winning team. He just fucking signed and went, hey, man, they got a chance to win. I want to win. I'm not getting any younger. And that's what he did. And I just think, I found those shirts were fucking dumb.
Well, let's pause for a second and actually look at the history of Kevin Durant. He's drafted in 2007 by the Seattle Supersonics, who then moved to Oklahoma City, and they became the OKC Thunder. He only left after last season ended. Didn't that man fucking put his time in with that team?
I'd say he did.
I mean, he stuck through He stuck through a relocation. He obviously had to re-sign. He gave him, 8 years? 9 years? Yeah, 9 years.
Gave him almost a decade.
Well, we just talked about it, Rich. It's the same as Chris Chelios when he defected to Detroit. Everybody in Chicago was like, what the fuck, Chris? Fuck you. You sell out, you piece of shit.
I mean, I guess it's just, to me, it's like if Megatron had signed with another team, namely a team.
Or Barry Sanders.
Or Sanders. namely a team who has a chance of winning a championship, like a very good one. If you're fans of that, man, wouldn't you go, you know what, dude, he did everything he could do here.
Good on you.
I would not have been mad at Calvin Johnson. I would not have been mad at all. Like,
what's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
You're supposed to piss away your entire career to stay loyal? Because let me tell you something.
Wait, we did do that with Chris. Give me an ooh.
Ooh.
We did do that with Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, but Sue didn't even last over half a decade here. And on top of that, Sue's sister back in 2013 was tweeting 2 more years and we're out of this shithole. Or excuse me, she didn't say shithole. 2 more years and we're out of this. I can't remember the exact term she used. Trying to be cryptic, but basically saying 2 more years and we no longer have to be in Detroit.
And Durant also had a better reputation with his hometown than Sue did. Sue was a divisive guy, whether in Detroit. You either loved him or you hated him. Kevin Durant generally was loved in OKC.
Exactly.
But I can't. Why are you going to argue, Rich? Just piggybacking on your point here. Man's been in the league a decade. All right, the final act may not have started yet, but we're in the middle of the intermission. All right, it's going to be starting soon. I mean, guys got to be pushing 30 at this point.
So, if we're writing the screenplay, we're in the beginning of the third and final act. Yes.
How long is he supposed to wait?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
A lot of these guys are competitors, man. To a lot of these guys, it ain't about loyalty; it's about winning.
Well, let's be honest here. If Durant wasn't bringing enough to the table for OKC, do you think they'd hold on to him just out of loyalty? Or do you think they'd move him if they thought they could get some fucking prospects or something better than him?
Oh, I think they'd move him in a hurry.
Exactly. If it was reversed, they'd cut ties with him in a heartbeat.
When Max Scherzer left Detroit for Washington, he actually took out a full-page ad and some billboards thanking the city and the fans of the Tigers in Detroit. And to me, that tells me all you need to know. It wasn't about the fans or the city. It's nothing personal. It's the fact that, look, your franchise has already peaked and is now on the downside of the hill, and I have a chance to go make better money than you guys can afford to pay me with a team who has a bigger upswing.
Yeah. That's why I wasn't mad at Max. And you know what, too? I wasn't mad at Ben Wallace either. I think Ben Wallace saw the writing on the wall. Ben Wallace saw, we're on the downturn. I'm not getting any younger. Chicago is just floating this incredible amount of money at me that I would be a fool to say no to.
And I got my championships, so fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing with Scherzer. I was more mad at the Tigers for not paying Scherzer than I wasn't even mad at Max Scherzer. I was mad at the Tigers for going, man, really? You're not going to ante up to keep that rotation going? All right. Good luck with that. And, well, we know where we're at now.
And I'm sure there's people in OKC that feel the exact same way about Durant. But for the majority, when you get there and it's your first game back, they're going to boo.
See, to me, the only thing I guess I can compare it to locally is Sergei Fedorov. When Fedorov left after the 2003 season.
Didn't he go to the Kings?
Close. He went to the Ducks. And then he ended up on the Blue Jackets. Even when he was on the Blue Jackets and they would play here in Detroit, every time he touched the puck, the fans would boo. Now, people were like, why would you do that to Sergei? Look what he did for Detroit. Here's the thing. He held that team hostage twice over contract negotiations. Did Durant ever do that to OKC?
No.
Okay, I mean, I referenced it earlier. He almost missed an entire season at one point because Carolina made an offer and the Wings had to match it. And then he finally came back when the Wings did match it. And you can argue that they overpaid, but let's be honest, they got 2 more cups out of the situation. So really, I guess they didn't. But holding a team and a city hostage, which, I mean, this is hyperbolic language to use ultimately because it's sports, but in the realm of sports is what he was doing over a contract, to me is more of a reason to be like, man, fuck that guy, than Kevin Durant ever gave his former team. 9 years, dude, 9 years. 1 relocation, and he, I mean, hasn't he always been gracious? Isn't this you're the real MVP guy?
You could argue too that whether you play basketball or you shovel fucking shit, isn't every day an audition for A, your job to keep you, and B, for you to keep wanting to stay where you work. You know, in the kind of give and take relationship, and every day your job's got to prove to you that you want to keep it, and you got to prove to them they want to keep you. And in Durant's situation, hey man, I gave you a decade. I would like a ring before I finally stop playing basketball. You know, I have an opportunity here to go with a team that I don't know, man. It didn't seem like, well, unless you were in Cleveland, it didn't seem like LeBron got shit on that much when he went to Miami. But then again, he has a different standard than everybody else. And that's not just him. That's the media and fans, too.
He was despised in Cleveland. I can tell you this. There wasn't that much vitriol towards fucking Shaq when he left fucking Orlando.
No, fuck no.
All right. In fact, a lot of Orlando fans were like, I'm pissed to see him go, but I don't blame him.
Right.
I blame the team. And I mean, if you look back at that team, they did their best to build that team into a champion. I mean, he had Penny Hardaway next to him. I mean, granted, he didn't, but he just ran up against the mid-90s Bulls dynasty. I mean, you can't fuck with that. You're talking about maybe one of the best dynasties in any sports, and ever. Of course, everybody else is also Rans, you know? You can't, and like, Florida isn't known for its level-headedness, all right? There's a reason there used to be a bit on Loveline called Germany or Florida, where they'd read crazy stories and you never knew which one it came from.
Oh, it's still around.
Oh,
it's on the Adam Carolla show, and I think Conan stole it as well. Somebody on late night did steal it.
Well, I know my brother still lives in Florida, and I just heard a story that a dude went through the Wendy's drive-thru. They got his order wrong. He pulled back through and threw an alligator through the fucking drive-thru window inside because they got his order wrong. Okay. And
I got Florida immediately when I heard alligator.
Well, I mean, but no. But I mean, to me, I'm just like, I'm not even shocked. That's just Florida. And I graduated down there. I lived down there.
That's kind of how I felt the other day when they talked about that guy in Detroit who walked into, the KFC or Wendy's and set himself on fire. Yeah, that's Detroit. All right. Yeah. That didn't bat an eye. I was like, next. You know.
Yeah. More surprised it wasn't a Coney Island, but yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I just, to me, maybe because I am the most casual of casual basketball fans, I just didn't get it. And, the fact that, of course, Golden State was like, oh, you want to boo? Well, we're going to give you something to boo about,
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, there's a point where it's like, okay, you can stop slapping me in the face with your dick. I'll just suck it. And I think Golden State brought OKC to its knees and made them do that. So, that's the most casual fans take on the situation.
Here you go, Rich. What if he made a mistake and they don't win?
Who, Golden State?
Yep.
I think it's only tarnished if OKC wins. Well, he's still.
That's not going to happen.
I think that would be the only way that tarnishes his decision. Because ultimately he made. I mean, let's be honest. Who do you? I know that the term eyeball test tends to get looked down upon, but given the eyeball test, what team do you think has a better chance of winning a championship during the rest of his career?
Cleveland?
No, smart ass. Out of Golden State and OKC.
Oh, OKC's got a lot of issues right now. They're not going to win.
So basically, you just told me Golden State. So
Golden State to win it all this year. I'm just saying, if they fail to win and they went out and spent all this money for KD, I mean, I think they both kind of look.
Yeah, but
OKC is one Russell Westbrook injury away from being an also-ran and irrelevant. You could Klay Thompson, Curry, or KD could go down. Not all at the same time, but one of the three could go down. They'll still be all right.
Well, yeah, because they got a lot more than that. I mean, Draymond Green.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if
Jerome Iguodala.
I'm just saying, if Russell Westbrook gets injured, OKC is fucked. You are not making the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, yeah. I don't think Kevin Durant will regret his decision.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Even if they don't win, they'll go. I think as long as he goes farther than Oklahoma, that's all he cares about. I mean, granted, he cares about winning, but if they make it to the conference finals and OKC goes out in the first round, it's gonna be, hey, Right decision, right here.
Well, him and
OKC
went to the conference finals last year.
Yeah, but how many years had they done that? I think that's one of the reasons why he moved. I mean, the last maybe 3 or 4 years. I mean, hasn't pretty much OKC been always a bridesmaid, never a bride?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's how many times are you going to hit your head against a fucking brick wall before you finally go, something's got to change? You know, like I said, you ain't getting any younger. He's been in the league. This is his 10th year in the league, so you got to do something, man.
Oh, I totally agree with the move. It's hilarious. I find it so funny that he went to Golden State, but at the same time, he left to win a championship, and that's who's got it right now.
Man, if you played basketball last year, why wouldn't you have gone to Golden State? If you were anyone on any team in the league.
True.
And your contract was up, and you were worth the shit, why wouldn't you have made a play to try to get yourself to Golden State?
Well, there was plenty of power moves that didn't go to Golden State that should have. D. Wade should have went to Golden State. Didn't.
Bring it.
Okay, am I going to take a 27-year-old Kevin Durant or a well over the hill D. Wade if I'm Golden State? I'm sorry, give me Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Injury-prone Wade can take his ass up to Chicago.
Yeah, am I going to take D. Wade, who's got to sit with fucking ice bags on his knees all the time now, or am I going to take Kevin Durant, who
and I'm not just
start night after night?
And I don't mean it, and I don't mean that in a Dwayne Wade ain't shit way. It's just Dwayne Wade was a powerhouse when Shaq was still in his fucking prime. Granted, on the tail end of his prime, but in his prime. Kevin Durant hadn't even sniffed the NBA at that point. I mean, come on, man. If I'm betting just purely on the upside of a player, give me Durant all day.
Yeah, I mean, people get old. It's no crime that Dwayne Wade got old. I mean, shit. Look at when the Bad Boys won. All right, that was definitely not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of 10 years and prior. That wasn't Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the late 70s.
Nope.
That was busted ass Kareem.
That was not Enter the Dragon Kareem. No.
Yeah, he was on his last legs, literally. I mean,
that was fed to the dragon and shat out Kareem.
That isn't a crime, but it's just right now Dwayne Wade, dude, sun's about set on his career. Kevin Durant, we still got some shelf life. Let's make the move.
I mean, right now he's 28. Even if 35 is his is the ending age of his career, that's 7 more years.
No, I get the move. I do. I hope it works out for him. I can't see where it doesn't, really.
So does he.
It just seems like on a long enough timeline, unless Golden State is destined to be the Tigers of the last 10 years, which is, damn, we got close, but we never got over that hump. He's going to have a ring at some point. I mean, it just seems that way.
I honestly think it's going to be this year. They won it 2 years ago. They lost a 3-1 lead in the finals last year. I can't see them not making it this year.
There you go.
Well, LeBron and his help might have something to say about that. But
if they give him more help.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned. Who knows what will happen next week? So with that being said,
same LeBron time, same LeBron channel.
Yeah, we rounded 3 hours, so we covered a lot, though. Look how many topics we can cover when football isn't going on. But thanks to everybody who's listened and downloaded. Here on ChristopherMedia.net. That's where you should just go. You can go there. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can subscribe on Android. You can share the show on your various social media networks. So there's no reason to go anywhere other than ChristopherMedia.net. We are on Twitter at SportG Podcast, on Instagram at SportG_podcast. Thanks to everybody who's listened. Remember, the key here is if you like it, tell somebody. All right? That's how podcasts go, how they become something. So if you like it, tell someone. People obviously like it because the listens are going up every month. So thanks for that. And, yeah, we'll catch you next week, guys.
All right, later.
See you guys.
If you enjoy this show and want more people to know about it, head on over to iTunes, leave a comment, and rate it 5 stars. Make sure you like and share us on Facebook, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Just search for Christopher Media. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Most importantly, we would like to take the time to extend an extra special thanks to you. Christopher Media could not exist without your support. Thank you